Chapter 29-23. Du Xiaofu's killing intent. This time, Du Xiaofu must die a graveless death. Even if it's really as the Lord said and we're unable to kill him, we absolutely can't allow him to continue jumping about. By Dongli Qihuang's side, Chen Yan's gaze was icy cold as well, and he gritted his teeth fiercely as he spoke. Both of them were constantly thinking about how to annihilate Du Xiaofu and eliminate this enormous calamity. However, after so many years, no matter how their strengths improved, they were actually unable to keep up with Du Xiaofu's footsteps. No matter if it was in divine martial world all those years ago or after they entered the 33 heavens, that kid had always left them far behind. He was simply a freak. To other living beings, it was like cultivating, but to Du Xiaofu, it was simply like flying. At the same time that Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yan felt extremely helpless, they felt an extremely heavy blow as well. But it was different this time. They'd awakened their ancient memories a long time ago, and they'd even returned to the 18 levels of hell to ceaselessly recover. Their strengths had advanced by leaps and bounds a long time ago, and they were absolutely not inferior to Du Xiaofu. Not to mention they had the 3 demon generals accompanying them this time, so killing Du Xiaofu was absolutely as easy as flipping their palms. However, Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yan were very clearly aware in their hearts that there would absolutely be an enormous variable if they wanted to truly annihilate Du Xiaofu. This was the fundamental reason why the Lord repeatedly instructed them not to force it. No matter how Lu Xiaofu arrives, he's unable to stop us. Let me see exactly what sort of unexpected event has occurred to Du Xiaofu this time that would affect us from killing Du Xiaofu. Dongli Qihuang's eyes were deep while his entire body emanated killing intent, and he spoke in a cold and piercing tone. The biggest factor they could think of was the Lord of the 3,000 sectors, Lu Xiaoyu. Other than that, there was probably no one else in this world who could stop the attacks of the 2 demon servants, the 3 demon generals, and the many demon clan experts. Therefore, Dongli Qihuang really wanted to know what his master was thinking, to think that they would not be able to kill Du Xiaofu. We're about to reach the 12th layer of hell, but Du Xiaofu and those people from the 33 heavens still haven't appeared. I fear they've encountered a huge obstacle. Suddenly, Chen Yan glanced to the side and spoke. They started from the 16th level of hell, passed through the 15th, 14th, and 13th levels, and were about to enter the 12th level of hell. By the time they started moving, Du Xiaofu had already moved from the 10th level of hell to the 11th. However, after such a long period of time, Dongli Qihuang, Chen Yan, and the others from the devil race had passed through numerous levels of hell, yet they still hadn't seen Du Xiaofu appear. They could guess that those millions of experts from the 33 heavens had definitely encountered a huge obstacle that caused their footsteps to be obstructed. It's good that they've encountered an obstacle. Every single step they take causes the deaths of a large number of experts from our devil race. No matter what, we must make the 33 heavens pay a sufficient price this time. Dongli Qihuang's face had turned gloomy, and he spoke hatefully. Since they dared to come cause trouble in our 18 levels of hell, they're simply courting death. This is truly a case of, there's a path to heaven, but he doesn't want to take it, and instead, he wants to come to hell. Chen Yan spoke coldly as well, and his tone carried boundless coldness. The 18 levels of hell were their world, and it was established by the Lord Devil Ancestor during the ancient times. It belonged to the devil race. However, during the ancient times, Pangu had set up a grand formation to seal this place, causing it to become a land of death. At that time, Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yan had been suppressed in all heaven along with the Lord Devil Ancestor's body. After that, they'd experienced numerous reincarnations before they'd finally awakened in this life and returned to the 18 levels of hell. However, Du Xiaofu and the other members of the 33 heavens seemed to not take the 18 levels of hell seriously, and they'd actually come in large numbers and aggressively charged into this place. To the devil race, this wasn't just a challenge, it was a humiliation as well. So, no matter which aspect it was from, they had to be ferocious and teach those experts of the 33 heavens a lesson. They had to tell them that this was the devil race's territory, and they couldn't rashly set foot in it. No matter what, more than half of those millions of experts had to be left behind to be buried in the 18 levels of hell and become souls beneath the blades of the devil race. It's the 12th level of hell. I'm afraid we should be able to encounter those people here. Dongli Chihuang looked up. It was as if he'd seen through the boundless hellfire and entered the 12th level of hell. He was actually looking forward to meeting Du Xiaofu and the others and fighting them. Let's go. Let's have a good time with Du Xiaofu and the others. Chen Yen shouted. Then, without another word, he led a large number of devils and continued to move through the terrifying hellfire, heading for an even higher level of hell. Elsewhere, Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Lu Ying, Long Ke, Long Su, and more than 23rd stage meditative realm experts of the 33 heavens were still pursuing the blood ancestor with all their might. We'll soon pass through this broken seal and enter the 12th level of hell, but that old bastard is too cunning. If this continues, we won't be able to catch him. An old man from the 33 heavens said solemnly as he watched the blood ancestor's figure rapidly fleeing downward. They'd pursued him for many years and passed through the barrier of this broken seal, but they still couldn't catch up to the blood ancestor. That old bird with mixed feathers, even though he'd suffered such a huge injury, didn't run carelessly in the slightest. More than 20 cultivators at the 3rd level of meditative forgetfulness were unable to capture him under such circumstances. This made them feel extremely helpless. Let's just take one step at a time. If we really can't catch him, then we can only give up. Once we enter the 12th level of hell, we'll definitely be harassed by countless devils. When the time comes, we'd better fight with all our strength. Soon, another expert spoke up. No one had any good ideas about how to deal with the blood ancestor. Du Xiaofu was already heavily injured. He couldn't gather everyone's strength to stop the blood ancestor. Right now, the only thing they had to worry about was the devils in the 12th level of hell and the alarmed devil experts in the depths of hell. As for whether or not they could suppress the blood ancestor, that was up to the will of the heavens. Just as Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Lu Cheng, Long Ke, and Long Su were talking to the experts of the 33 heavens, a wave of energy suddenly came from behind them, which attracted everyone's attention. Has Master Du recovered from his injuries? Lu Qiao, one of the siblings of the Lu family, suddenly let out a soft cry of surprise and turned her gaze to the back. The other experts did the same. In their line of sight, the figure of a purple-robed young man appeared. This purple-robed young man's aura was vigorous and powerful. As he walked through the flames of hell, he caused a huge wave of energy. Who else could this person be other than Du Xiaofu? I really can't see any injuries. The Yuqing Divine Emperor was so heavily injured. How could he recover in such a short time? The other 3rd stage meditative realm experts were all stunned. They looked at Du Xiaofu with eyes full of disbelief. In the previous battle with the blood ancestor, many people of the 33 heavens had been injured, including Du Xiaofu himself. They all knew that without enough time to recuperate, it would be extremely difficult for that guy to recover to his peak. But now, after several years of traveling through the flames of hell, that kid had reappeared as lively as a dragon and as lively as a tiger. This was truly shocking. The Yuqing Divine Emperor grasped 4 primordial laws at the same time. He must have used the law of space to go to another independent space to recuperate. Furthermore, with the power of the law of time, he should have had more time to recuperate. So, it's not surprising that something like this happened. One of the experts said. Hearing this, everyone nodded. Although they were surprised, it wasn't hard for them to think of this point. The law of time could affect a space, causing it to have the effect of accelerating time. It was a good place to recuperate. Unfortunately, most living beings couldn't grasp 2 primordial laws at the same time. They couldn't use such a method. Du Xiaofu grasped 4 primordial laws at the same time. Breaking through to the void path was definitely a piece of cake for him. Hence, it was natural for him to recover so quickly. It's not just the Yuqing Divine Emperor. Everyone else is recovering quickly as well. Following this, many people realized that with Du Xiaofu's reappearance, the large group of experts that he had invited into the ancient desolate space had also reappeared. Large numbers of figures had returned to the flames of hell. What was even more shocking was that all of these people were now full of energy. Their strength had reached its peak. This scene didn't look like a tired army that had just fought against the demon race. They looked like a mighty army that was full of vigor. But of course, everyone was happy to see such an outcome. With their battle strength recovered, the battle against the demon race would naturally be much easier. Even if there were fierce clashes, there would be fewer casualties. Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, and the other members of the Lu family smiled. Of course, they knew that Du Xiaofu possessed the ancient desolate space. Such a treasure was much more precious than they had imagined. We're about to enter the 12th layer of hell. Prepare for battle. Behind them, after Du Xiaofu walked out of the desolate ancient space, he could sense that they were about to enter the 12th layer of hell with a quick glance. When they heard his words, the surrounding experts perked up. Their expressions grew solemn as they prepared for another battle against the demon race. Everyone knew that the demon race's resistance would only grow more and more terrifying. The pressure on them would also increase. Moreover, they didn't know when the demon race would reveal their true strength. That would be the most difficult moment for them. We've been in the 18th layer of hell for so long. Jiangchen has probably sensed our presence long ago. Du Xiaofu muttered as he thought to himself. Because of his relationship with Jiangchen, he couldn't help but sigh in his heart. But no matter what, his old friend was now the demon ancestor. There was no longer any room for sentiment. He'd severed all ties with Jiangchen back in the first layer of hell. By now, Du Xiaofu had used the ancient desolate space and the precious medicine his master, Yu Yuqian, had given him to recover his full strength. In fact, he'd even advanced. What awaited him now was a bloody battle, one that would last until he couldn't continue. The only thing he didn't know was whether he'd run into Jiangchen again. We've arrived. Yuqing Divine Emperor, let's go. Just as Du Xiaofu was lost in thought, an expert's voice pulled him back to reality. He opened his eyes and looked around. Sure enough, they'd arrived at the edge of the Hellfire domain. Let's go. Du Xiaofu waved his hand and took the lead. In an instant, he'd charged into the 12th layer of hell. The other experts weren't slow either. Their majestic aura shook the sky. The arrival of millions of experts was like a giant mountain being tossed into a calm lake. The 12th layer of hell began to shake. The demon race was quickly alerted. Before long, they realized that experts had invaded. Kill the demon race. Do as usual. Du Xiaofu shouted. His figure immediately charged into the demon race's crowd and began a massacre. He observed for a moment. Lu Jingyun and the other 20 or so experts were still chasing after the blood ancestor. However, the old ghost was extremely cunning. He kept charging toward where the demon race experts were gathered. When the meditated demon race experts attacked Lu Jingyun and the others, the blood ancestor took the opportunity to escape. He didn't have the slightest desire to fight. Clearly, he only wanted to escape as quickly as possible and find a safe place to recover. Old ghost, I won't let you escape again today. Du Xiaofu's eyes flashed. He stared into the distance and softly muttered to himself. He no longer killed the weaker demon race experts. Instead, his figure flashed, and in the next instant, he appeared beside Lu Jingyun and the others. Everyone, help me fight again and kill this old ghost. Du Xiaofu shouted coldly to the 20 or so third-level meditated realm experts. All right. Everyone agreed without hesitation. They quickly gathered around Du Xiaofu. Then, a vast 8 trigrams appeared around the purple-robed young man. It brazenly occupied the void. The 20 or so meditated realm experts were familiar with this process. They divided up the work, forming groups of 3 in occupying the 8 trigrams. They all displayed their terrifying cultivation and channeled their power into Du Xiaofu's body through the veins of the void 8 trigrams. "Old ghost, leave your life behind." Du Xiaofu shouted loudly. He held the heavenly palace of purple gold in his hand. After gathering the power of many experts, he was like a god of war. His body instantly grew to 10,000 feet tall, and he stood tall and upright. The broadsword in his hand also grew in size. He brazenly slashed out, directly toward the fleeing blood ancestor. Although there were no more than 200 meditated realm experts to help him this time, there were still more than 23rd level meditated realm experts controlling the 8 trigrams. Although their power was weaker than before, it was still very terrifying. At least for the blood ancestor, he was completely unmatched. If he rashly fought back, he would definitely die. "Little bastard, I will spare your life for now. But all of this will be repaid 10,000 times over." The blood ancestor did not dare to stop. He covered his head and fled like a rat. At the same time, he kept turning back and forth to avoid Du Xiaofu's domineering sword. Boom, boom, boom. Du Xiaofu's sword slashed at the air. It did not touch the blood ancestor's body. The huge sword moved the sky and brazenly landed on the ground in an unrivaled manner. There was an earth-shattering explosion, and the whole world was shaken. Creak, the ground instantly cracked open, and a boundless abyss appeared. It spanned across the land and extended for tens of thousands of miles. The scene was terrifying. And it was also in this attack that, although it did not hit the blood ancestor, it still affected countless surrounding demons. In an instant, they died without a trace and turned into a bloody mist. "Old ghost, don't run." Seeing that the blood ancestor was escaping, Du Xiaofu shouted again and chased after him. Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Lu Ying, Long Ke, Long Su, and more than 23rd level meditated realm experts poured all their power into Du Xiaofu's body. Under the support of these experts, Du Xiaofu's speed was pushed to the extreme. It was terrifyingly fast. He passed through the boundless space and quickly approached the blood ancestor. "Little bastard, you really are like a ghost that won't go away." Sensing the situation behind him, the blood ancestor gritted his teeth and cursed. He was too heavily injured. Otherwise, how could he be so cowardly in front of these juniors? Seeing that Du Xiaofu was supported by a powerful force and was constantly closing in on him, the blood ancestor's face was dripping with sweat. If Du Xiaofu could only display the cultivation of the 3rd level of meditative realm, he would not be afraid at all. Although his current speed of escape was not fast, he would definitely not lose to an ordinary cultivator of the reincarnation realm. But now, Du Xiaofu's strength was definitely far beyond the 3rd level of meditative realm. That brat's physical body and primordial spirit were too abnormal. He was actually able to withstand such a heavy power and circulate it freely. It could be imagined that Du Xiaofu was only lacking in comprehension. As long as the opportunity came, the 3rd level of meditative realm would be trampled under his feet. Such an enemy made the blood ancestor feel incomparably solemn. If this ancestor wasn't in the 18 levels of hell and wanted to escape, how could I allow ants like you to follow me like mad dogs? The blood ancestor roared hatefully, his heart filled with helplessness. If he were in the 33 heavens, it would be very easy for him to escape. He could even directly cross the boundless world with a single thought. Du Xiaofu and the others would not be able to do anything to him. However, there was a seal between each of the 18 levels of hell, so he was greatly restricted and could not freely use his techniques. Now, the blood ancestor had no intention of fighting. He only wanted to escape. Only by shaking off the pursuit of Du Xiaofu and the others would he have any hope of surviving. "Old ghost, you're dead today. Didn't you want the origin of chaos on me? Come and take it." Du Xiaofu shouted from behind, constantly mocking the blood ancestor. He was determined to kill the blood ancestor. Today, he would definitely not let this old ghost escape so easily. Chapter 29-24. Du Xiaofu watched as the blood ancestor kept changing directions. He didn't attack again. Instead, he chased after him with all his might. Seeing that the distance between them was getting closer and closer, Du Xiaofu couldn't help but sneer. The 12th level of hell was so vast that it would take a long time for the old ghost to reach the entrance to the 13th level of hell. That amount of time was enough for him to catch him 100 times. When he thought of this, Du Xiaofu felt a chill in his heart. He was determined not to let the blood ancestor have an easy time. That old bastard had repeatedly made a move with the intention of seizing the quintessence of chaos from him, and he coveted it extremely ferociously. If it wasn't for an unexpected event, then he would have absolutely succeeded a long time ago. Since he was an enemy, Du Xiaofu had no reason to let him go. Kill! He shouted again. His murderous intent surged as he charged at the blood ancestor. The power of the 4 primordial laws enveloped him. Du Xiaofu pushed his space laws to the extreme. His speed was so fast that it made one's hair stand on end. In an instant, he had traversed millions of miles. Under such circumstances, the distance between him and the blood ancestor was getting closer and closer. Little bastard, fight me one-on-one if you have the guts. The blood ancestor couldn't help but shout when he sensed this situation. His heart was filled with boundless shock, but he couldn't turn around and fight Du Xiaofu. He had only said these words to vent the anger in his heart. He didn't expect Du Xiaofu to fight him one-on-one. Moreover, even if Du Xiaofu was willing, he might not be able to defeat him. The blood ancestor, whose name had once shaken the 33 heavens and made even the ancient era tremble, had fallen to such a state. This made the blood ancestor extremely angry, but there was nothing he could do. If he had known that he would be in such a predicament, he wouldn't have tried to steal Du Xiaofu's primal chaos origin on the 11th level of hell. The blood ancestor wanted to slap himself in the face. He had only himself to blame for all of this. Bastard old bird, prepare to die. Origin murdering sky sword, kill. Just as the blood ancestor was feeling resentful, Du Xiaofu had already closed in on him. A loud roar that shook the 9 heavens came from his throat. Then, the 4 primordial laws began to rotate, intertwine, become more and more condensed. Whoosh, a terrifying sword aura took shape. It was like a divine sword that could split the heavens. Then, it slashed down at the blood ancestor. This sword light was extremely terrifying. It condensed the origin energy of the 4 primordial laws, and it even had the origin energy of the great Tao circulating within it. It was as if it had the might to split the heavens and earth apart. As the sword, the earth, and the earth, the heavens, the earth and the earth, the heavens and the earth, and rumble, as the light sword slashed down, the winds and clouds in the sky were stirred up. It was as if heaven and earth had been turned upside down. The entire world shook. This scene looked like a heavenly pillar toppling, causing one's heart to sway. In the blink of an eye, the fleeing blood ancestor was drenched in cold sweat. His legs also felt weak. This was a feeling he had not experienced in countless years. Du Xiaofu's sword chi like this, the blood ancestor felt as if he had been locked down by a powerful force. It was difficult for him to even turn around and escape. At this moment, he experienced the taste of despair, and he felt powerless. Du Xiaofu's attack was like a divine punishment from the heavens. There was nowhere to hide. Die, old ghost! Du Xiaofu roared. His brows furrowed, and he revealed a ferocious expression. He gathered all of his strength and controlled the origin-murdering sky sword chi like this. Du Xiaofu was confident that if this attack hit the blood ancestor, who was locked down by a powerful force, it would definitely be able to severely injure him even if he didn't die. When that time came, it would be a piece of cake for him to trample on him. TSK, 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 the sword chi burned fiercely, as if it was going to split open the sky. It broke through all obstacles and went straight for the blood ancestor's head. Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Lu Ying, Long Ke, Long Su, and the others all focused on this attack at the same time. In the distance, many powerhouses of the 33 heavens who were fighting countless devils also sensed this scene, and all of them focused their attention on the battle situation here. It was as if they could already see the final result. The blood ancestor would be cut in half by this sword. Even if he didn't die, he would lose half of his life. Die! Du Xiaofu roared. The sword chi's speed increased a bit, and it was about to cut into the blood ancestor's head. However, at this moment, a terrifying demonic aura flew over from the distance and instantly passed by the blood ancestor's side. Then, one could see a blood-red axe the size of a mountain fly through the air, directly blocking Du Xiaofu's sword chi between the blood ancestor and the blood ancestor. Boom, accompanied by a loud noise, the entire world trembled violently. Du Xiaofu's origin sky-slaying sword and the axe fiercely collided. The moment before the two collided, Du Xiaofu had already discovered this sudden change. He wanted to stop, but the arrow was already on the bow and had to be released. Under the violent collision, a monstrous earthquake occurred, accompanied by an unparalleled storm of energy that swept in all directions and shook the 9 heavens. Du Xiaofu was directly shaken and sent tumbling extremely far away. The blood in his body roiled, and his entire face turned pale. He found it difficult to calm down. It was obvious that a powerhouse had rushed over and saved the blood ancestor. The cultivation of the person who had come was extremely terrifying. They didn't directly fight Du Xiaofu. Just by intercepting him, the terrifying shock produced caused Du Xiaofu to be injured again. Uncle Master Du, are you okay? Seeing Du Xiaofu retreat, Lu Jingyun and the others instantly withdrew all of their power. Their power was a burden to Du Xiaofu, and now that he was injured, they could only withdraw all of their power to ease Du Xiaofu's burden. I'm fine. Du Xiaofu replied, but his eyes were still looking in the direction of the blood ancestor. At this time, the area had been completely flattened by the storm, and everything had been reduced to nothingness. Even the ground had been forcefully scraped thousands of feet deep. In mid-air, the storm slowly dissipated, and Du Xiaofu could see the existence of 2 figures. One of them was the blood ancestor. His aura was even more withered, and it was obvious that the collision just now had caused him a lot of shock. The other person was a burly giant with 2 demonic horns on his head, like 2 halberds, rising into the sky. This person's body fluctuated with an unconcealable fiendish aura. Killing and ruthlessness coexisted, and it was obvious at a glance that he was a terrifying master. In his hand, he held a blood-red giant axe, which was surrounded by endless demonic energy. It was incomparably terrifying. This person is, Du Xiaofu was surprised. He had never seen such a powerhouse before. It was obvious that this was one of the demons who had been suppressed in the 18 layers of hell. And from the little bit of strength he had just displayed, it could be inferred that this person's cultivation was absolutely terrifying. He was most likely in the carrier realm. When he thought of this, Du Xiaofu's heart couldn't help but sink. This person might be one of the demon generals of the demon race. Judging from his appearance, he should be called the Desolate Demon General. Lu Jingyun walked out with an incomparably solemn expression and came to Du Xiaofu's side. He had learned a lot about the demon race and knew a lot about them. Naturally, he also knew about the demon generals of the demon race. A devil general with a Tao-bearer cultivation base. This is going to be troublesome. Du Xiaofu's face became gloomy again as he frowned and muttered to himself. They had come to the 12th layer of hell. Except for the encounter with the blood ancestor in the 11th layer of hell, their journey had been quite easy. They hadn't encountered any strong resistance from the demon race. But now, a demon general had appeared in front of them and saved the blood ancestor. This caused Du Xiaofu's heart to sink. The millions of people of the 33 heavens had pushed forward all the way. Were they going to stop here? Facing a demon general in the carrier realm, they would suffer heavy losses. The only thing they could really count on now was senior brother Lu Xiaoyou's arrangements. We can't fight anymore. Everyone gather and prepare to evacuate. Du Xiaofu thought for a moment and immediately said so. The group of experts beside him nodded when they heard this. Soon after, they passed down the order to the other millions of experts. Now that there was a carrier realm powerhouse in front of them, it was destined that it would be difficult to continue advancing unless strong reinforcements arrived. After Du Xiaofu's order was passed down, the millions of powerhouses of the 33 heavens quickly put down what they were doing and quickly surrounded the place where they were, no longer entangling with the demon race. I hope senior brother has made some arrangements for this situation. Du Xiaofu thought in his heart and pinned all his hopes on senior brother Lu Xiaoyu. If it really didn't work, then he could only use the ancient desolate space to take the powerhouses and find a way to leave the 18 layers of hell. Before entering this place, senior brother Lu Xiaoyu had told him to preserve their strength. After all, now was not the time to fight the demon race. However, Du Xiaofu wasn't confident that he could escape from a carrier realm powerhouse. Today was bound to usher in a difficult battle. Previously, it was the blood ancestor who was being chased and killed, but now it was likely that they would be next. Jie 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 jie, suddenly, just as Du Xiaofu was thinking in his heart, a burst of sinister laughter broke through the air and clearly entered Du Xiaofu's ears. Hearing this laughter, Du Xiaofu couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Dongli Qi Huang is also here. This voice was incomparably familiar. It was none other than Dongli Qi Huang, whom he had interacted with for many years. Since he was here, Chen Yan would definitely appear as well. Just as Du Xiaofu expected, the void in the distance trembled as Du Xiaofu watched. Then, he saw boundless demon qi surging like a monstrous wave, pushing aside all obstacles and quickly arriving nearby, landing beside the blood ancestor and desolate demon general. Dongli Qi Huang and Chen Yan's figures suddenly appeared. Behind them was a dense mass of demon race figures. There were actually millions of them, and their momentum was even stronger than the people of the 33 heavens. This was the army of the demon race. Their momentum was like a rainbow, and they were incomparably terrifying. Just by standing there, this mass of figures gave off an extremely oppressive feeling, causing the powerhouses of the 33 heavens to palpitate. The demon race has arrived en masse. They really did learn of our movements. This is bad. It's impossible to continue advancing at full speed. Not only can we not go deeper into the 18 layers of hell, but it'll also be difficult to retreat. This is only the 12th layer of hell. I don't even know which layer the demon ancestor has reached. I'm afraid our operation this time won't be successful. The demon race is too alert. At this time, the millions of powerhouses of the 33 heavens quickly realized the seriousness of the matter. It wasn't difficult for them to imagine how things would progress next, and their hearts were incomparably heavy. After entering the 18 layers of hell for so long, this was the most difficult time they had encountered. Everyone knew very well that if they didn't find a way to leave, many of their lives would be lost in this space. It's not just Desolate Demon General, but Blood God Demon General and Ming Luo Demon General have also come. Lu Jingyun, who was standing beside Du Xiaofu, had an ugly look on his face. He saw that there were two powerhouses near Dongli Qi Huang and Chen Yan. One of them was like a living person who had been skinned alive. His whole body was dripping with blood and crimson red. It was indescribably terrifying. The other person had a deathly look on his face. His face was as pale as paper and exuded a gloomy aura. With a glance, it made people feel a chill from the soles of their feet and their whole body tense. However, although the appearance of these two people was not very good, the aura on their bodies was very deep and restrained. Even with Lu Jingyun's cultivation, he couldn't see through it. Judging from their appearance, they were the other two demon generals of the demon race. They were Blood God Demon General and Ming Luo Demon General. Blood God Demon General, Ming Luo Demon General, Desolate Demon General, three great demon generals have arrived. Things are getting more and more troublesome. Du Xiaofu's face was gloomy as he looked at the group of demon race people opposite him. His heart was heavy to the extreme. Just one demon general brought unimaginable pressure to them, but now there were actually three great demon generals. Du Xiaofu felt like he was about to have difficulty breathing. These were three Dao-carrying realm powerhouses. They had been suppressed in the 18 layers of hell for countless years, but their ferocious power was probably not much worse than it was in the past. Coupled with Dongli Qi Huang, Chen Yan, and the millions of demon race army behind them, it was likely that these people of the 33 heavens would have to give up their lives here today. Jie 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 jie. Du Xiaofu, you actually dared to enter the 18 layers of hell. You are simply courting death. Dongli Qi Huang looked at Du Xiaofu, stepped forward, and coldly looked at Du Xiaofu. His handsome face was covered with demon qi, and with a cold smile, it was as if he was staring at a dead man. Du Xiaofu, you really don't want to take the road to heaven, but instead choose to throw yourself into hell. This time, I want to see what kind of good luck you have to escape with your life. My demon race's three great demon generals and millions of troops are here. We will definitely turn you audacious people into ashes. None of you will be able to walk out of the 18 layers of hell. Chen Yan's face was full of hatred as he looked at Du Xiaofu and said. He was extremely confident. When he saw the many powerhouses of the 33 heavens, he also had some plans in his heart. There was a clear disparity in the strength of the two sides. The demon race had a huge advantage, and their biggest reliance was the three great demon generals by his side. This gap was really too big. As long as there were no unforeseen events, it was absolutely not difficult to kill everyone in the 33 heavens here. Kakik, little bastard, weren't you chasing me quite fiercely? Come again, let's see how you kill this ancestor. As long as this ancestor doesn't die, the treasures on your side will eventually fall into my hands. At this time, the blood ancestor also recovered. After being saved by the desolate demon general, he was no longer threatened by Du Xiaofu. Instead, he looked at him with hatred. With the protection of the demon race, why would the blood ancestor need to fear Du Xiaofu and the others? You old bird, you can only hide in the demon race's crotch. I really don't know if the rumors passed down from ancient times are true or false. A useless person like you actually made a name for yourself. Du Xiaofu glanced at the blood ancestor and didn't seem to be moved at all. The blood ancestor was stifled by Du Xiaofu's words and almost wanted to stomp his feet. These words were too sinister, causing the blood ancestor's malevolent face to twist even more. His nostrils contracted as if he were about to go berserk. If it weren't for the fact that he wasn't necessarily a match for Du Xiaofu, he really would have rushed forward and torn his mouth open. However, looking at the furious blood ancestor, Du Xiaofu didn't have any intention of paying attention to him. At this time, the matter in front of him was the most urgent. He simply couldn't care less about the blood ancestor. Dongli Qi Huang, Chen Yan, you two have always been defeated by me, but every time you appear, you clamor in front of me. How much foundation do you have? Don't you have any idea? Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows, a mocking expression on his face as he looked at Dongli Qi Huang and Chen Yan. He wasn't trying to anger these two, but was secretly communicating with the powerhouses of the 33 heavens to discuss countermeasures. At the same time, he planned to bring everyone into the ancient desolate space and then find a way to escape. Jijage. Du Xiaofu, you don't need to provoke us. As long as we can kill you, it doesn't matter what method we use. This time, you absolutely have no path to heaven and no door to hell. Chen Yan coldly smiled as he looked at Du Xiaofu. He really wasn't angry in the slightest. This time, the demon race had so many powerhouses that they could definitely crush the millions of people in the 33 heavens. No one would be able to save Du Xiaofu. Humph, Du Xiaofu, don't be so arrogant. With your strength, I'm afraid you are no longer a match for the two of us. Since you think you are strong, we will give you a chance to fight. I'm afraid that when the time comes, your fate will be very miserable. Dongli Qihuang coldly snorted as he spoke with confidence. His strength had greatly increased, his memories had completely awakened, and his ancient strength was gradually recovering. He was already very powerful and no longer feared Du Xiaofu. Du Xiaofu, stop dawdling and attack. Today, none of you will be able to leave this floor alive. All of you will die here. Chapter 29-25. Du Xiaofu, stop wasting time and attack. None of you will be able to leave this floor alive today. All of you will die here. Dongli Qihuang glared at Du Xiaofu, and his eyes were filled with hatred. He shouted explosively, and then his figure instantly soared into the sky and pounced towards Du Xiaofu. The devil race had a huge advantage, and they were far stronger than the forces of the 33 heavens. So, there was no need for words at all, and they could just start the battle. There was no time to lose because an unforeseen event would occur if they delayed. First, eliminate all the meditators in the 33 heavens, and then assist the army in the battle. Leave Du Xiaofu to the two of us. Let's see what he can do. This time, I'll make sure these millions of people don't leave. Once they die, the 33 heavens will lose more than half of their forces. How will they fight my devil race then? Chen Yan's gaze was piercingly cold as he spoke to the Blood God Devil, Ming Luo Devil, and Desolation Devil by his side. After that, he charged out as well, and he charged towards Du Xiaofu with Dongli Qihuang. Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yan attacked with all their strength. They'd been in the 18 levels of hell for many years, and they'd recovered quite a bit of their strength since a long time ago. Their strength was almost equivalent to the third level of Meditator realm, so they couldn't be said to be weak. So, both of them felt that no matter how strong Du Xiaofu was now, it was impossible for him to reach their level of strength. However, for safety's sake, both of them decided to join forces. No matter what, they had to deal with Du Xiaofu first. Kill. Eliminate the invaders of the 33 heavens and make them pay the price. Kill them all and strengthen the might of our devil race. Kill. Along with Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yan's actions, all the other devils moved at the same time. A large expanse of black shadows pressed down upon space and covered the heavens and the earth as they charged towards the millions of people in the 33 heavens. All of a sudden, the entire 12th layer of hell began to tremble. Boundless demonic energy intertwined together, forming a large black cloud that swept across the heavens and earth. This scene was truly terrifying. Amidst the majestic momentum, a murderous and cruel aura filled the air. It was even more terrifying than when the powerhouses of the 33 heavens had first entered. All the other demons in this space felt their blood boiling. They shot out and charged towards Du Xiaofu and the others. Kakik, with my demon army here, these creatures of the 33 heavens will die without a burial ground. How dare you act so presumptuously in my 18 levels of hell? You're too arrogant. Kill them all. Let the blood of these creatures flow through the 18 layers of hell. The experts of the demon clan who were originally in the 12th layer of hell also stirred up a storm, their momentum ferocious. At the same time, many people rushed out with unconcealable ferocious smiles on their faces. For these people, there was no time that they felt more satisfied than at this moment. Previously, they were in a situation where they were at the mercy of others. Who would have thought that in such a short period of time, the situation would be reversed so quickly? The original hunters had become the prey. For these demons, this was the most exciting thing. We're surrounded. Beside Du Xiaofu, an expert said with a serious face. Looking at the actions of the demons in all directions, the others felt as if they were carrying a mountain on their backs. They were not afraid of a battle. However, when the strength of the enemy was far greater than the millions of people of the 33 heavens, fighting force with force would only cause unnecessary sacrifices. It would not be of any use. Even if they were to die, they could not die here in vain. Yuqing Divine Emperor, do we fight or leave? Another expert stepped forward and asked anxiously. In the 18 layers of hell, everything was according to Du Xiaofu's words. Now, there was no better choice. They had suddenly fallen into a tight encirclement. It seemed that they could only face a battle. With the 3 great demon generals present, even if they wanted to escape, it would be difficult to do so. Now, they could only wait and see if Du Xiaofu had any way to lead them away. In short, it was not realistic to fight unless they were forced into a desperate situation. Those in the meditative realm, stay behind and join forces to break through the defensive line. Everyone else, enter the desolate ancient space and withdraw from the 18 layers of hell. While everyone was anxious, Du Xiaofu had already made a decision. He quickly shouted these words and then opened the desolate ancient space. A huge entrance appeared in the void, allowing the experts of the 33 heavens to enter. Hurry! Lu Jingyun shouted loudly as well, and he gathered together with all the meditative realm experts to protect Du Xiaofu and obstruct the attacks of Chen Yan and the Eastern Flame Crimson Phoenix. How could the people of the 33 heavens dare delay? They all entered in an instant, wave after wave of people entering the desolate ancient space. Kakik. Du Xiaofu, are you thinking of running away? Running away without fighting isn't your style. Right at this moment, Dongli Qihuang's attack had arrived. A devil's sword had appeared in his hand, and it emanated a solemn and murderous glow as it attacked ferociously towards Lu Jingyun and the others. This attack was extremely terrifying. It seemed as if it had come from the depths of the netherworld, and it was capable of punishing the heavens and destroying the earth. It seemed as if it intended to make the sun and moon sink while the mountains and rivers were obliterated. However, Lu Jingyun and the others were prepared. The auras of over 100 meditative realm experts were intertwined together to form a solid barrier of light that emanated dazzling light. When Dongli Qihuang's attack struck the barrier of light, an enormous rumble resounded, but it was unable to shake it at all. It's useless to hide within it. All of you will definitely be unable to escape death today. Chen Yan shouted coldly as well. His figure grew explosively as he moved forward, and he was no less than 30 kilometers tall. After his figure enlarged, Chen Yan's appearance underwent a tremendous change as well. He became hideous, ferocious, and had ghastly fangs. However, the aura he emanated expanded swiftly along with these changes, and it was boundlessly powerful and terrifying. His palms soared through the sky and suddenly slapped down towards Du Xiaofu and the others. At this moment, Lu Jingyun and the others only wanted to defend themselves, and they didn't attack at all and allowed Chen Yan's palms strike them. Rumble. A monstrous and enormous bang resounded while the sky shattered into pieces and the world shook. Humph. These two fellows want to break through our defenses. They're simply overestimating their ability. A powerhouse of the 33 heavens sneered and muttered to himself. Chen Yan's attack wasn't able to cause much of an impact to them. Under the joint forces of over 100 experts, their defensive barrier of light merely shook slightly and wasn't really shaken at all. You can't change your fate even if you can hide for a while. Why make such useless efforts? Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yan grunted coldly, and their gazes grew even colder as they watched their attacks fail to accomplish anything. They're just a bunch of useless trash. Let this general deal with them. Right at this moment, the 3 devil generals strode through the sky step by step and seemed to be extremely leisurely. The Desolation Fiend Demon General uttered in a muffled voice. After that, the blood-red axe in his hand suddenly rose into the sky and emanated a scarlet-red light that dyed everything in the surroundings red. Every single corner of the 12th level of hell was enveloped by this blood-red light. Even the ground was seeping with blood-red liquid, and it was a horrifying sight. You can't resist the attack of a Tao-enlightened expert. Retreat. Meanwhile, the few million experts of the 33 heavens had all entered Du Xiaofu's desolate dimension. He immediately shouted and retreated with Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Lu Ying, Lu Cheng, Long Ke, Long Su, and over 100 experts of the 33 heavens. They intended to flee. As they moved forward, Du Xiaofu didn't hesitate and directly released the Void 8 trigrams technique. Lu Jingyun and the others didn't need to be reminded. They each went to the 8 directions of the 8 trigrams diagram and formed a new formation with Du Xiaofu. They were already familiar with this method and completed it in an instant. Powerful energy poured into Du Xiaofu's body. Let's go. Du Xiaofu stomped his feet and shattered the void, causing 2 huge chaotic black holes to appear. His figure shot out 1,000,000 miles in the blink of an eye. He used all his strength and didn't dare to stay in the slightest under the attack of a devil general. The Immortal Realm experts had all gone into hiding. As long as he and the others could successfully retreat, the 33 heavens combat strength would still be preserved. However, there was no doubt that this process was extremely difficult. Du Xiaofu had almost no confidence that he could escape unscathed from the 3 devil generals. Sure enough, just as Du Xiaofu was retreating, the desolate fiend devil general let out a cold snort. It was like a heavy hammer that struck Du Xiaofu's heart, causing him to feel incomparably annoyed. Want to escape? Do you think you can escape? As soon as the desolate fiend devil general's voice fell, the blood fiend axe chopped down at the same time, brazenly striking the void. Rumble, this attack was overbearing, as if it was breaking open the great world. It was incomparably terrifying. On the other hand, Du Xiaofu and the others who were fleeing with all their might felt a terrifying binding force descend upon them, and it tightly restrained their footsteps. Their speed plummeted, and it was as if they had fallen into a quagmire, making it difficult for them to struggle. Qi La, following that, the giant axe fell and directly chopped down on Du Xiaofu's 8 trigrams diagram. The awe-inspiring Void 8 trigrams disintegrated in an instant. All of its energy was destroyed. Du Xiaofu was the first to bear the brunt of it. He directly spat out a mouthful of blood, and his face instantly dimmed. Lu Jingyun and more than 100 meditative forgetfulness experts were also in a very bad situation. They were all injured one after another. Everyone was like withered leaves in a storm, swept high into the sky and wantonly trampled on and destroyed. Fortunately, the desolate fiend devil general seemed to look down on them. He only treated Du Xiaofu and the others as ants and did not use his full strength. Otherwise, the attack just now would have taken the lives of half of the people here. I've been trapped in the 18 levels of hell for countless years. I seem to have forgotten the taste of slaughter. Today, I'll savor it here. It'll be of great benefit to my injuries. The desolate fiend devil general's eyes bloomed as he spoke softly. As he spoke, he suddenly stretched out a hand and gently grabbed at the void. Chi chi chi, the sound of cloth tearing could be heard. Then, Du Xiaofu and the others saw a terrifying scene. The desolate ancient space, the heavily injured Du Xiaofu had long lost the strength to struggle and crashed heavily to the ground. At this time, the desolate fiend devil general attacked again. He saw his desolate ancient space being torn apart like a cloth bag. Among them, millions of immortal experts were all shocked. For a moment, they did not understand what was going on. Within the torn ancient space, large amounts of space laws and time laws runes surged out, exploding like dazzling fireworks and burning away in the void. The Tao carrier realm is too strong. The desolate ancient space refined by Grandmaster can't hide at all in front of him. It's even easier to break it. This time, it's really troublesome. Lu Jingyan's expression had changed long ago. He was incomparably furious. At the same time, he was filled with endless helplessness in his heart. Du Xiaofu's desolate ancient space was created by his grandmaster, the most holy great emperor. It was a rare treasure. But in the eyes of a Dao carrier realm expert, such a treasure was no different from a child's toy. With a casual strike of his hand, he easily broke through it. The desolate ancient space was clearly an invisible existence, but in the hands of the desolate fiend devil general, it was like a real substance. After tearing it apart, he grabbed a corner and shook it lightly like holding a rag bag. Huff huff huff, within the ancient desolate space, the millions of powerhouses of the 33 heavens suddenly felt the world spin around them. Then, all of them fell out like beans from a broken hole in space. Those figures were completely unable to control themselves and slid down from the sky, falling to the ground. Kakik, you can hide now, but you can't hide forever. Everyone in the 33 heavens will die today. Seeing the desolate fiend devil general attack, Dongli Chihuang and Qin Yan couldn't help but sneer. Today, let's start a massacre here. Children of the devil race, fight with me. Let the blood of the 33 heavens flow through every inch of the 18 layers of hell. In addition to the desolate fiend devil general, the blood god devil general and Ming Luo devil general also moved quickly. They led many devil race powerhouses and quickly charged in the direction of Du Xiaofu and the others. We can't escape. In the distance, Du Xiaofu was heavily injured. His entire body was practically on the ground. After a long struggle, he crawled up. Light flashed in his hand, and the purple gold heavenly tower appeared. He used it as a crutch. The desolate fiend devil general's attack just now caused his blood to roil endlessly. The energy in his body was in chaos, about to explode. In addition, the desolate ancient space was broken open, imperceptibly implicating him, adding injuries on top of injuries. Now, seeing the devil race army charging over again, Du Xiaofu frowned. For a time, he didn't know what to do. Yuqing Divine Emperor, let's fight. If we can't escape, then let's really fight the devil race. Even if we die, we have to drag a few down with us. Many powerhouses of the 33 heavens spoke out one by one. Everyone's fighting spirit was boiling. Everyone's eyes fell on Du Xiaofu, wanting to fight. Listening to the words of those around him, Du Xiaofu felt even more powerless. The disparity in strength between the two sides caused them to lose the qualifications to truly fight the devil race. Even if they sacrificed everyone's lives, they would still be trampled on by the other side. Not a single one of them would be able to escape from the 18 levels of hell, but the result was more or less the same. Before entering the 18 levels of hell, senior apprentice brother Lu Xiaoyu had instructed them to prioritize their own lives. Because these several million people were already the majority of the 33 heavens fighting strength. If they all died here, then when they faced the devil race's attack in the future, the situation would be one-sided. No one wanted to see such a result. However, what made Du Xiaofu feel the most powerless was that they really had no way to escape. In such a situation, besides fighting, there seemed to be no other path to take. If that's the case, then let's fight to our heart's content. No matter how strong the devil race is, we won't let them have an easy time. Gradually, a determined look appeared in Du Xiaofu's eyes, and he no longer hesitated. He straightened his body with difficulty, grabbed a large amount of precious medicine from his qianquan bag, stuffed it into his mouth, and chewed. Dongli Qi Huang, Qin Yan, come and fight. After swallowing all the precious medicine in one gulp, Du Xiaofu suddenly roared, and his voice reverberated through the 9 heavens. He raised the purple gold heavenly tower, pointed it at Dongli Qi Huang and Qin Yan, and quickly fought with them. Kill! The powerhouses of the 33 heavens immediately moved, and one figure after another shot out, rushing towards the devil race's formation. At this moment, everyone's faces were filled with an expression as if they were facing death calmly. The two sides collided in just a moment, and a fierce battle unfolded. Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Lu Ying, Lu Qing, Long Ke, Long Su, and the rest of the 33 heavens-seated forgetfulness experts also rushed out at the same time to meet the three demon generals who were charging straight at them. Everyone's auras intertwined together. They didn't hope to defeat the three devil generals, but they could at least hold on for a while. Kill! Earth-shaking roars spread in this space, and the world shook, the universe turned upside down, and the void was annihilated. The millions of people of the 33 heavens and the millions of devil race people collided with each other. This was the condensation of most of the power of Pangu world and the 18 layers of hell, and its killing power shook the world, and it really had the power to destroy the world. As for the powerhouses of the 33 heavens, everyone used all their strength to fight the devil race. They staked everything, and only wanted to kill a few more devil race people, so that they wouldn't die here in vain. Everyone's blood was aroused, and they fought with all their might. Everyone was full of heroism, and all the strength in their body surged out, and they fought with anger. GGG. Kill. Once these people die, attacking the 33 heavens will be as easy as taking something out of a pocket. Dongli Qi Huang, Chen Yan, and the others laughed, and they were incomparably happy. They were very clear in their hearts that the biggest advantage on their side was that they had three more devil generals. With such a gap, it would be absolutely easy to take down these powerhouses of the 33 heavens. And after all these people who had entered the 18 layers of hell were all killed, the resistance they would encounter when attacking the 33 heavens would be reduced by more than half. This was a great thing for the devil race. Chapter 29-26. Translator, H2DH2 Mr. Many devil experts sneered in their hearts. All of this was something they hadn't expected. The 33 heavens actually dared to directly charge into the 18 levels of hell without sufficient arrangements. They were simply delivering themselves up to be killed. It was precisely because of this that the devils didn't hold back in the slightest when they attacked. Especially the three devil generals, they directly pounced towards Lu Jingyun and the others. Under the deterrence of these experts, the meditative realm experts didn't even have the strength to resist. They'd all walked their own paths, and their strength was far stronger than the meditative realm experts. In the eyes of these three devil generals, Lu Jingyun and the others were indeed as weak as ants. Besides that, Du Xiaofu also faced enormous pressure. Because of the desolate fiend devil general's attack, coupled with the destruction of the ancient desolate space, he'd long since been heavily injured, and his strength had been reduced to less than 100%. Facing the attacks of Dongli Qi Huang and Chen Yan, Du Xiaofu was barely able to maintain dodging, and he was unable to face them head-on. For a time, all the experts of the 33 heavens fell into a desperate situation, and everyone was facing a test of life and death. Rumble, a terrifying battle unfolded, and the entire 12th level of hell emitted a terrifying tremor. The scarlet sky was exploding, the boundless earth was collapsing, and the boundless void was shattering. Practically everywhere in this level of hell had transformed into a state of chaos, and the scene was incomparably terrifying. All the living beings were in a chaotic battle, and they were doing their best to fight the devils. Kill. Even if we die, we'll take a few down with us. We can't let the devils run rampant. Every time we kill a devil, our sacrifice today will be worth it. Kill. Fight the devils to the death. All the experts of the 33 heavens had aroused all their blood, and they roared ferociously, spilling their hearts full of hot blood as they fought the devils. At this instant, everyone no longer thought about how to leave the 18 levels of hell because it had already become an impossible matter. Instead of being at a loss, it was better to fight the devils to the death. Even if they had to risk their lives, they had to slaughter a few more devils so that when the devils invaded the 33 heavens in the future, the pressure on countless living beings would lessen by a bit. In other words, everyone was prepared to die. No one wanted to leave the 18 levels of hell alive. Keek keek. No matter how much you struggle, it's meaningless. Everything you've done is in vain. Tremble, ants. Use your blood to stain the land of my demon race. With the aid of such slaughter, my demon race will grow even stronger. At that time, the other life forms of the 33 heavens will accompany you on the road to the Yellow Springs. The people of the Devil clan also shouted out one by one. They were extremely excited. Now that they had the absolute upper hand, they were simply bursting with excitement. In the endless slaughter, the strength of the Devil race would definitely grow stronger and stronger. For a time, in the entire 12th level of Hell, the powerhouses of the 33 heavens and the demons had different mindsets as they engaged in fierce battles. However, all of them had the same thought, and that was that the outcome had already been decided. No matter how hard they tried, they would be unable to change the final outcome. And in this process, the only thing they could do was to maximize the results of the battle. However, just when everyone was certain that everything would develop according to the established trajectory and no more major accidents would occur, a monstrous pressure suddenly pervaded the air and descended abruptly, and all the experts in the battle felt it. Rumble, this sudden terrifying pressure was like the suppression of the heavens. In just an instant, it caused the souls of those who were not very strong to tremble. There's a change. In an instant, Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Long Ke, Long Su, Little Xingxing, Du Xiaoyao, Chu Dao Ju, Long San, Ling Feng and the rest all felt this situation. In the first moment, they realized that something had definitely happened. What happened? On the side of the Devil clan, the 3 great Devil generals, the 2 great Devil attendants, and many forgotten experts were also extremely puzzled. This situation did not seem right, and it was completely out of their expectations. Normally speaking, more than half of the Devil clan of the 18 levels of Hell had already gathered here, and no other experts should have come. A large number of living beings have arrived. Among them, there are a few who are extremely powerful. Just as everyone was confused, the Blood God Demon General suddenly spoke. He looked into the distance and said, "Don't worry." On the other hand, his words caused Dongli Qi Huang, Chen Yan, and the others to be shocked. A large number of living beings had arrived, but this was nothing. Perhaps the 33 heavens still had a backup plan, and another wave of experts had arrived at the 18 levels of Hell. However, the Blood God Demon General had said that some of those people were very strong. What was an extremely powerful concept in the eyes of a Dao Carrier Realm cultivator was absolutely terrifying to Easternly, Qi Huang, and the others. Could it be that those people were in the Dao Carrier Realm? If that was the case, then the following situation would undergo a huge change. Let them come. Before they arrive, let's deal with these ants in the Forgotten Realm first. The Ming Luo Demon General snorted coldly and suddenly attacked. A terrifying wave of devil chi shot directly towards Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Lu Ying, Long Ke, Long Su, and the others. Within the devil chi, there was a strange energy of the Grand Tao circulating and boiling, and the laws in this space were directly stirred into mush. This was the strength of a Dao Carrier Realm expert. Under the surging power, Lu Jingyun and the other Forgotten Realm experts were all restrained on the spot, and they were completely unable to move. They could only watch as the terrifying devil chi surged towards them. The Ming Luo Demon General had attacked with all his strength, and he did not want to waste any more time. If they waited for those experts to arrive, then there would be endless variables at that time. Taking advantage of the time before they arrived, even killing one of the experts of the 33 heavens would be good. Humph. Do you think you can touch this old man's grand disciple? At this moment, a cold snort shook heaven and earth, and the sound waves were like muffled thunder, roaring and rolling, and sweeping in all directions. Accompanying it was a huge and boundless swastika symbol with dazzling golden light. It directly pressed down like a round of world-destroying divine seal, and a wild and desolate aura surged, as vast as the abyss, and brazenly collided with the devil chi attack of the Ming Luo Demon General. Boom, a monstrous earthquake occurred, and the entire world was tossed and turned, and all matter was sent flying. Countless waves of chaotic chi were generated, and swept through the heavens and the earth. The Ming Luo demon general who was closest to Lu Jingyun and the rest retreated in the midst of this terrifying shock, and he did not dare to hesitate in the slightest. Lu Jingyun and the other experts were pulled away by an invisible hand, and brought to a safe place. The demons and people of the 33 heavens who were fighting in other places were also lifted high into the sky by this force, and could not control themselves. Strong reinforcements have arrived. Du Xiaofu, Dongli Qi Huang, and Shen Yan could no longer continue fighting, and in an instant, he knew that there must be experts who had killed their way into the 18 levels of hell to help them. Sure enough, right when Du Xiaofu was lost in thought, an expanse of shouts that shook the heavens and the earth suddenly sounded out from afar. Kill! The battle cry was earth-shattering, and it sounded like there were a lot of people, and the momentum was majestic and boundless. Soon, a large number of figures could be seen rushing over from afar. They quickly rushed into the chaotic battlefield. The chaotic world of the 3,000 sectors is here to help the 33 heavens destroy the devil race. The chaotic world of the 3,000 sectors is here to help the 33 heavens destroy the devil race. The chaotic world of the 3,000 sectors is here to help the 33 heavens destroy the devil race. The flying spirit sect of the 3,000 sectors is here to help the 33 heavens destroy the devil race. With the arrival of a large number of figures, the shouts also sounded. This person's momentum was like a rainbow, and he killed his way into the battlefield with absolute strength. There were also millions of people. Such a scene stunned the experts of the devil race and the 33 heavens in this level of space. The battle could not continue for the time being, and the two sides gathered, once again forming two camps, and stood facing each other, looking at the black mass of people who were killing. Martial Ancestor. After Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Lu Ying, Lu Cheng, and the others were rescued, they saw a domineering figure standing beside them, and their faces were filled with surprise, and they bowed down one after another. Beside them was a thin middle-aged man, but his entire face was filled with boundless majesty, as if he was a god who ruled over the heavens. He had the bearing of being above all living things, making people want to bow down and worship him. Seeing Lu Jingyun and the others bow, the thin middle-aged man nodded slightly, and then looked in the direction of the devil race. "Who are you?" Ming Luo Demon General's eyes narrowed fiercely, and he looked at the person opposite him and asked. As soon as the thin middle-aged man appeared, he saved Lu Jingyun and the others with absolute strength, and even forced him to retreat. This person's cultivation was absolutely monstrous. However, people with such strength usually only appeared in ancient times, and as a demon general who was famous for his fierce reputation, he had never seen him before, so he could not help but be puzzled. "Remember my name, 8 Desolation Saint Sovereign, D. Badian," the thin middle-aged man said softly. His eyes were like lightning, and he looked at Ming Luo Demon General without the slightest fear. "And me, Donghuang Taixien." In an instant, another majestic figure appeared out of thin air, and appeared next to 8 Desolation Saint Sovereign, D. Badian. In this person's hand, was a golden saber. The saber was filled with ferocious power, like a divine object that could split the heavens and earth, and it made people feel reverence. D. Badian, Donghuang Taixien. They are people from the 3,000 great worlds. Blood God Demon General stepped forward and said coldly, scarlet blood dripping from his body to the ground. His body, which looked like it had been skinned, made people's scalps tingle. They had never seen these two people who had suddenly appeared in ancient times, so it was not difficult to imagine their origins. The 3,000 great worlds were far behind Pangu world and the demon world, and the demon generals had heard about them from Dongli Qi Huang and Chen Yan, so they naturally knew of their existence. Obviously, Di Badian and Donghuang Dongxian were extremely terrifying existences. You're only half-step Dao realm cultivators. If it were in ancient times, the two of you wouldn't be a match for me even if you attacked together. Desolation Demon General stepped forward and said coldly as he looked at the two opposite him. He could see the cultivation of the two experts with a single glance, and he did not seem to be intimidated by them at all. Upon hearing those words, the experts from the 33 heavens and the devil race were stunned once again. Only now did they know that these two people were half-step Dao realm cultivators, and they were indeed extremely powerful. However, such strength seemed to be insufficient in front of the three demon generals. You also know that it was in ancient times. Now that you've been suppressed for countless years and only managed to break out of the seal, your strength has been greatly reduced. How can you look down on us? Batian was unmoved by Desolation Demon General's contempt, and he only snorted coldly and said. His entire body exuded a boundless aura as he looked at the three demon generals, not backing down at all. Batian naturally knew that if it were in ancient times, the three demon generals would indeed be invincible existences to him. However, it was different now. These people had experienced the chaos of ancient times, and their strength had been greatly affected. Then, they were suppressed by Pangu and sealed in the 18 levels of hell together with the demon ancestors' primordial spirit. Countless years had passed, and their strength was no longer the same as before. If they really fought, Batian was extremely confident that he could defeat them. What an arrogant bastard! You even dare to provoke us. In that case, let's see who will have the last laugh. The blood god demon general's eyes darkened, and he was extremely angry at Batian's contempt. Their fierce reputation was built on endless killing. When had they ever been looked down upon? It was completely intolerable. Then let's have a try. Donghuang Taishuan's eyes flashed as he said coldly. Like Batian, he was completely unmoved by the three demon generals. Seniors, are you confident? At this time, Du Xiaofu had already come to Batian and Donghuang Taishuan's side and asked worriedly. From the way Lu Jingyun addressed Batian, Du Xiaofu could easily tell that the Octaterra Saint Venerable was one of Lu Xiaoyou's teachers. Lu Jingyun had already told him a lot of information through voice transmission. Within the 3,000 vast worlds, there were the three most powerful worlds, the chaotic heavens world, the chaotic lands world, and the chaotic people world. Perhaps, on the whole, the 3,000 vast worlds were not as prosperous as the 33 heavens. However, just by looking at the three chaotic worlds, their prosperity exceeded that of any of the 33 heavens. As for Batian, he was the original ruler of the chaotic heavens world, and his cultivation was extremely high. Because of this, there was no doubt about his strength. He was definitely not much weaker than Batian. The other expert, Donghuang Taishuan, was almost on the same level as Batian. Both of them were rare experts in the world. However, from the conversation just now, Batian and Donghuang Taishuan were only at the half-step path realm. They were probably still far away from the real path realm. In this way, if the two of them wanted to deal with the three demon generals, it would seem that they were not strong enough. The only advantage they had was that the three demon generals had experienced the ancient war and been sealed for countless years. Their strength had been greatly reduced. Ha ha ha. Little guy, you must be the legendary Du Xiaofu. Donghuang Taishuan suddenly laughed and looked at Du Xiaofu as he spoke. Obviously, he had heard about Du Xiaofu and had a certain understanding of him. Yes, I am. Du Xiaofu nodded and did not explain further. He still stared at the two experts. Seeing Du Xiaofu's gaze, Batian laughed and said, "Don't worry. Although the two of us are not as strong as the three demon generals, in terms of strength, we are definitely not weaker than the three of them. Not to say that we can crush them, but if we want to fight 2 against 3, we will definitely not be at a disadvantage." At the end of his words, Batian's body surged with a ferocious aura. He suddenly stared at the 3 demon generals in front of him, his bright eyes filled with contempt. As for the 3 demon generals, they had no idea where Batian's confidence came from. Why are you still talking so much? Let's fight. Let's see what the two of you are capable of. Ming Luo Demon General did not want to wait any longer. He shouted in a deep voice. His body stepped out in the air, carrying with it a terrifying power of the Great Tao. The surrounding rules of order were directly crushed into nothingness. The people of the 3,000 great worlds can't change the outcome. Since you're here, then stay here with the people of the 33 heavens. Blood God Demon General's words were deep. His entire body was filled with killing intent. He instantly rushed out and faced Di Batian and Donghuang Taixian head-on. Let's fight. This time, with such strong reinforcements, the 33 heavens will not be afraid of the demon race. Lu Jingyun shouted. He also wanted to rush into the sky and continue fighting the demon race. However, his movement was stopped by Di Batian. Di Batian said, Jingyun, lead the injured people of the 33 heavens to recuperate first. Leave this place to us. After your injuries have stabilized, we will continue to push deeper into the 18 levels of hell. These demon race will definitely not be able to stop our advance. Di Batian's body was filled with a powerful and domineering aura that swept through the heavens and earth. Following his instructions, Lu Jingyun nodded and retreated. Many of the experts of the 33 heavens were injured, especially those in the meditative realm. I also have an independent space here with the effect of time acceleration. Everyone, enter it to recuperate. Soon, you will be able to come out and fight. Lu Jingyun waved his hand and opened the space treasure. Du Xiaofu was slightly stunned when he saw this, but he quickly understood. It was not difficult to understand why Lu Jingyun could have such an independent space. With his cultivation and background, it was very easy for him to obtain such a thing. Right now, his ancient desolate space was damaged and could no longer be used. Therefore, Du Xiaofu did not hesitate and rushed into the space opened by Lu Jingyun. Let's go. Under the lead of the meditative realm experts, the injured experts of the 33 heavens rushed into the space one after another. Chapter 29-27. Along with many members of the 33 heavens entering Lu Jingyun's space to recuperate, the battle between the 3,000 worlds and the devil race had finally begun. However, the 33 heavens possessed a few million experts after all, and most of them still retained their combat strength. At this moment, when they joined forces with the 3,000 worlds, they actually firmly occupied the upper hand. There were actually many experts at the meditative realm amongst the experts of the 3,000 worlds that Di Batian and Donghuang Taixian brought over, and they directly and fiercely suppressed the peerless combat strength of the devil race, including Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yan. Under such circumstances, even though the situation hadn't become one-sided, the devil race was practically in a passive state. Such a scene caused Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yan to be both furious and hateful. The experts of the 3,000 worlds actually arrived at such a critical moment. Looks like they were prepared since a long time ago. Dongli Qihuang couldn't help but think like this as he fought an expert. He gritted his teeth tightly as he stared at the direction that Du Xiaofu had vanished towards, and boundless resentment arose in his heart. If he knew that he would face such a situation, he would have asked the three devil generals to make a move at the first possible moment to directly suppress Du Xiaofu and eliminate this enormous calamity first. The 33 heavens and the 3,000 worlds have merged together, so we're utterly unable to stop them unless we mobilize the strength of the 18 levels of hell. On the other side, Chen Yan's heart was extremely heavy as well. The energy of his soul core spied out, and he sensed that the few million experts of the 3,000 worlds were moving through the sky, and every single one of them possessed ferocious combat strength. On the other side, Di Batian and Donghuang Taixian were in battle with the three devil generals at this moment. Di Batian's hands flipped incessantly while numerous profound seals were formed by him, and they transformed into 9 flickering golden characters that resided in space. After that, these 9 characters suddenly merged into one and formed the shape of the swastika. It revolved like a wheel of destruction, and it swept through the surroundings and crushed everything. The golden saber in Donghuang Taishuan's hand swung repeatedly. It slashed the stars in the heavens above and the earth below. Everything it encountered was turned into nothingness. The strengths of these two people were extremely terrifying, and they really deserved to be at the half-step Dao undertaking realm. Moreover, in the eyes of Dongli Chihuang and Chen Yan, they were even able to discern a different situation. After all, they'd experienced the ancient war and witnessed the attacks of numerous experts of the Dao attainment realm, so their own strengths were terrifying and monstrous. So, with a single glance, Dongli Chihuang and Chen Yan noticed to their astonishment that Di Batian and Donghuang Taishuan's strengths weren't just at the half-step Dao enlightened realm. Their cultivation bases could be said to be only a step away from the Dao carrier realm. Their true combat strength was not much weaker than the three demon generals at their peak, not to mention that the three demon generals were currently heavily injured. As a result, the disparity between the two sides grew even greater. Not only were the demon race powerhouses unable to resist the combined forces of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds, but even the three demon generals had fallen into an absolute disadvantage. If the situation continued to develop like this, the demon race's side would eventually be defeated if the battle continued to drag on. Humph! If it weren't for the existence of the demon ancestor, how could the demon race fight against the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds with your current strength? Di Batian struck out a divine seal, brazenly pressing down on desolate demon general's head, sending his body flying in a straight line, smashing the void into a chaotic mess. It looked as terrifying as a mountain range that had been smashed into pieces. The demon race must be killed. The 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds are joining forces for the first battle. If we can use you three demon generals as a sacrifice, it can't be better. Donghuang Taishuan was also domineering. As his long saber rose and fell, terrifying cracks appeared in the 12th layer of hell, as if he wanted to crush this side of the world. It was incomparably terrifying. Just as the two of them had said, the greatest threat to the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds was the demon ancestor. As for the others, although their overall strength wasn't weak, if they really wanted to fight against the powerhouses of the two great worlds, the gap in strength was still too great. If the demon ancestor didn't come out, or if the powerhouses of the 18 levels of hell didn't come out, the demon race before them could only face the fate of being trampled by them. As for the three demon generals, they were also in the ranks of being trampled, without exception. The two of you are indeed very strong, but it'll be difficult for you to defeat the three of us. The blood god demon general let out an earth-shattering roar that pierced through the soul. He fought with all his might, joining forces with Ming Luo demon general and desolate demon general to fight Di Batian and Donghuang Taishuan to the death. The three demon generals gave their all, but they still couldn't turn the situation around. They were tightly suppressed by the two of them. However, they knew very well that although Di Batian and Donghuang Taishuan were powerful, it would be difficult for them to truly kill the three of them. In the 12th layer of hell, close to 10 million living beings were engaged in a terrifying massacre. Terrifying power roared like a tsunami, and every inch of space was annihilated by the terrifying energy. It was as if thousands of mountains had collapsed, and boundless waves swallowed the heavens and the earth. All existences were shattered, and only figures were left behind in the boundless energy storm. They were like mosquitoes dancing in the sky, and the scene was inexplicably terrifying. At this moment, Du Xiaofu and the others who were in Lu Jingyun's space were recovering at full speed. Everyone took out the elixirs they had on them. At this moment, they didn't feel the slightest bit of heartache. They all stuffed them into their mouths and refined them with all their might. The most shocking thing about this space was that the power of time acceleration here was even more terrifying than Du Xiaofu's desolate ancient space. It was at least several times stronger. With such an environment, everyone naturally recovered incomparably quickly. However, everyone was also worried about the situation outside. One thing was for sure, and that was that it would be very difficult for them to attack in a short period of time. They could only rely on the powerhouses outside to resist. Under such circumstances, time passed slowly. In the 12th layer of hell, terrifying energy swept across the sky and ground, crushing everything in its path. Every area had turned into chaos, and the impact was extremely shocking. Di Batian and Donghuang Taixien displayed their full strength. Their terrifying combat strength poured out, and they suppressed the three demon generals to the point of repeatedly retreating. Just as the three demon generals had sensed, the two of them were indeed only a step away from the true Dao vessel realm. This wasn't empty talk, but the truth. What a powerful duo! The blood god demon general muttered. The flesh on his chest had suffered a blow from Di Batian's divine seal, and a black hole had been blasted out, causing his originally incomparably terrifying appearance to look even more terrifying. We can't continue fighting. If this continues, it'll be very disadvantageous for us. In the battle, Dongli Qihuang and Qin Yan were also being attacked by a group of powerhouses. They were at a disadvantage, and they had no choice but to think so. Lord's request is for us to delay the people of the 33 heavens. We only need to delay their advance. Given Lord's speed, it won't be many years before he enters the 18th layer of hell and completely fuses with his nascent spirit. Once he emerges, the true decisive battle will begin. Chen Yan transmitted his voice to the Eastern mythical Scarlet Phoenix. When they learned that Du Xiaofu and the others had entered the 18th layer of hell, Jiang Chen had asked them to lead the demon race's experts to intercept them. However, he hadn't demanded that they stop the people of the 33 heavens with all their might. Perhaps Jiang Chen had long since guessed that the invaders had made ample preparations, so he told them not to kill Du Xiaofu by force. We'll retreat as we fight. Send more people into the next few layers of hell and gather more people to fight. Dongli Qihuang pondered for a moment, then made this decision. Now that the 33 heavens and the 3,000 universes were at their peak, the demons couldn't stop their fierce advance at all, let alone kill them all in the 12th layer of hell. Therefore, the best solution was for the demons to retreat as they fought and conserve their strength. At the same time, they'd send people deeper into the 18th layer of hell and gather more people. Only then would they truly be able to stall the outside world's experts. So long as they could delay them for a certain period of time and by time for Lord Demon Ancestor to fuse with his nascent spirit, they'd all die in the 18th layer of hell. That's a good idea. Chen Yan nodded, expressing his agreement with Dongli Qihuang's idea. If they continued to fight, the demons would lose a great deal of their manpower. Rather than make such pointless sacrifices, it was better to lure the people of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 universes deeper into the 18th layer of hell and fight again. Presumably, by the time they retreated to the 16th or 17th layer of hell, Jiang Chen would have fused with his nascent spirit. At that time, everything would truly begin. Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yan quickly retreated from the battlefield. Even though the experts of the 3,000 universes were hot on their heels, the two of them refused to fight. They shuttled back and forth between the battlefield. At the same time, their orders were secretly passed down. Some demons withdrew and headed deeper into the 18th layer of hell. The three demon generals received the transmission as well. Not long after, all the demons started to fight as they retreated. When they saw this scene, the eyes of Di Batian, Donghuang Taixien, and the others flickered. I'm afraid the demons have made new arrangements. We have to be careful. Di Batian's eyes flickered as he spoke in a low voice. The unusual actions of the demons caused him to be cautious. After all, the 18th layer of hell was their territory, and they couldn't be careless. Since we're already here, let's kill our way in and take a look. No matter what scheme they have, we must fight to the end and wreak havoc in the 18th layer of hell. Donghuang Taixien nodded and spoke. The 33 heavens had joined forces with the 3,000 universes. With so many experts moving, unless they encountered the demon ancestor, they wouldn't fear these demons at all. Perhaps the demons don't want to lose too much here. At the same time, they want to buy time for the demons to recover. Badian thought for a moment and quickly understood the intentions of the demons. Without further delay, he waved his arm and said, "Everyone, give chase with all your might. Bring along Jingyun and the others. We can't let the demons retreat so easily." As he spoke, he stretched out a hand and gently grabbed at the void as if he had grabbed a strange existence. This strange existence was the independent space that Lu Jingyun possessed. With this space, Badian and the millions of experts moved again, closely chasing after the demons. The demons wanted to fight as they retreated. The people of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 universes would use this opportunity to ruthlessly attack the demons. In an instant, a large number of figures streaked across the sky, traversing through the 12th layer of hell. All of them were heading in the same direction. They were all heading toward the entrance of the 13th layer of hell. Every layer of hell was like a large world in the 33 heavens. It was incomparably vast. Based on the speed of the experts, it would take them a long time to reach the entrance of the 13th layer of hell. In addition, because everyone was fighting as they moved, this time was greatly lengthened. At this time, in Lu Jingyun's space, a large number of figures were constantly recovering from their injuries. Du Xiaofu was the same. His entire body was wrapped in a dense and vigorous energy, looking incomparably mysterious. The strange and dazzling light sprinkled down like divine radiance. The four primordial laws of origin mixed with the power of the great Tao constantly intertwined and collided, creating new changes. Du Xiaofu had stepped into the void path realm for many years. His cultivation had also stepped into the second layer from the first layer at the beginning. Condensing the law to trace the path, transforming the law to develop the path, and carrying the path with the body. These three layers were all extraordinary, and they advanced layer by layer. There was a great difference between them and the ordinary immortal and meditative realms. Condensing the law to trace the path was to use the power of the four primordial laws to trace the origin of the laws and produce the rhythm of the path. Transforming the law to develop the path, the origin of the laws was perfect, and the rhythm of the path was natural. Tracing back to the origin of the great Tao was similar to the cultivation of the meditative realm. Carrying the path with the body was to break through the void path realm, break through the shackles of the great Tao, and achieve the body of carrying the path. At that time, it would be a brand new world that could truly create the great Tao. Du Xiaofu was now in the transforming the law to develop the path. As the name implied, this process was to rely on the rhythm of the four primordial laws to constantly refine the origin of the great Tao, coexisting and fusing with the world. When all of this was completed, Du Xiaofu could use the origin of the great Tao to freely evolve the four primordial laws. It would not be like before, where he needed to rely on the origin of the laws of the world or the origin of the laws that he cultivated himself. After reaching perfection in the transforming the path, he himself represented the supreme great Tao, and all the laws could be grasped at his fingertips. At that time, his power would be boundlessly terrifying. Huff, 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 Du Xiaofu slightly closed his eyes, feeling the unparalleled power constantly flowing through his body. His entire person was immersed in a mysterious state. Time flew by quickly, and the scene around the purple-robed youth gradually changed even more. And such a change quickly alarmed many experts in this space. Senior Master Du, this is, Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Long Ke, Long Su, and the rest of the meditative experts opened their eyes and looked in the direction of Du Xiaofu. Their eyes were somewhat stunned. They had suffered a blow from the desolate fiend devil general, but under the situation where Du Xiaofu had gathered the power of many experts, they had managed to preserve their lives. After such a long time of recovery, there was a certain improvement. In their shocked gazes, they could see that the current Du Xiaofu had the form of a world evolving around him, as though it was real. In this world, all matter existed. Space churned, time flowed, and life was born. It was extremely magical. Even if the meditative experts used their primordial spirits to spy on it, they felt that everything was extremely real, as though there was really a world condensed and formed by Du Xiaofu. However, Lu Jingyun and the rest knew in their hearts that this was absolutely impossible. With Du Xiaofu's cultivation, it was impossible for him to do this. The only ones who could truly create a real world were those in the imageless realm. Even the master of the 3,000 boundless worlds, Lu Xiaoyu, who was a carrier of the Tao, could not do it. What a terrifying comprehension ability and talent this fellow has. He actually reached such a level again. This is a scene evolved from the power of the great Tao. Although it cannot be compared to a real big world, it already has a certain embryonic form and charm. There is hope for the Tao, there is hope for the Tao. An old man in the third meditative realm from the 33 heavens muttered. His old eyes were wide open, and he could not help but tremble in excitement at the end of his sentence. Using the power of the 4 primordial laws to transcend the truth-severing stage and step into the void path, it turns out that it is so powerful. For us, although we stand at the top of all living creatures, we have no hope of attaining the Tao in our entire lives. This is where the difference lies. Following that, another old man let out a long sigh and said such words, causing many people in the surroundings to feel a little disappointed. Just as he said, everything that Du Xiaofu displayed outside his body was derived from the power of the great Tao. Everything in the world was originally carried by the great Tao. This situation was not difficult to achieve, and it was even less difficult for the many meditative realm experts present. However, the world that Du Xiaofu condensed contained everything that could be seen in the world. Time, space, matter, soul, everything that could be expected was there. Based on this point, many experts were unable to be compared to Du Xiaofu. None of them had grasped the 4 primordial laws at the same time, so the form of the world that they evolved was definitely lacking. It was precisely because of this that their pursuit of the Tao in their entire lives was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. It was a goal that was practically impossible to achieve. However, it was a different situation for Du Xiaofu. He possessed a cultivation in the void Tao, so if he wanted to truly take that step, then he only had to give it some time, and it would absolutely come naturally. Such a strong contrast made many of the people present sigh inexplicably. The gap between people was really too big. They had lived for countless years, yet they had to watch a junior who had only cultivated for a few thousand years easily surpass everyone. This was a distressing yet extremely honorable thing. Chapter 29-28. Martial Uncle Du's strength is going to increase greatly again. When he finishes his cultivation this time, I'm afraid his strength won't be lower than an ordinary third-stage meditative realm cultivator. Hearing the voices of the surrounding people, Long Falt's eyes stared at Du Xiaofu's body without moving, and said as such. However, such words did not arouse any reaction from the crowd, because this was already something that could be imagined. Killing his way into the 18 levels of hell is also quite a bit of training. In this process, Martial Uncle Du has already experienced a huge round of training. No matter if it was the battle with the Blood Ancestor, the attack from the desolate demonic general, or the tempering in the broken seals, I'm sure he has gained a lot of enlightenment. All these experiences have become the foundation for his enlightenment. I have a feeling that Martial Uncle Du will enter a higher realm after this trip to the 18 levels of hell. Lu Jingyun muttered softly, but his words were clearly heard by all the experts. The changes that Du Xiaofu experienced were not without foundation. The continuous battles in the 18 levels of hell, in addition to the super-strong collisions he experienced, were all great rewards. Let's wait and see. I'm afraid that the Yuqing Divine Emperor will come out of seclusion soon. Everyone, don't be idle. Go and recover. The battle outside still needs us. An expert from the 33 heavens said. The others nodded. Then, many of them retreated far away and began to recover. No one paid too much attention to Du Xiaofu. The battle outside still needed their help. The experts from the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds were still fighting. They could not afford to waste too much time. The space fell into silence again. Only a large amount of energy was boiling and dancing. Lu Jingyun did not immediately return to heal. Instead, he released the power of his primordial spirit and went outside to observe the situation. However, what surprised him was that the devil race was actually retreating. However, after careful observation, he realized that the demons were not being defeated. Instead, they were retreating while fighting. It was obvious that they had other plans. Lu Jingyun couldn't help but frown at this situation. Looks like the real war is coming. I wonder where Father and Uncle Xiaolong are right now. How are their arrangements going? Lu Jingyun keenly sensed that once the demons retreated to a certain place, a terrifying battle would ensue. At that time, everyone in the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds would face a great test. Many lives would perish in the 18 levels of hell. After all, this was the territory of the demon race. They absolutely could not underestimate the strength of the demon race. Lu Jingyun also thought of his father, Lu Xiaoyu, and his uncle Xiaolong, dragon god Long Xian. The two of them had been planning this since many years ago. It was all for the sake of fighting the devil race and finally killing the devil ancestor. At this time, they must have made a lot of arrangements and laid down a lot of monstrous means. When the final battle of the 18 layers of hell began, the two of them would definitely appear and join up with the rest of them. Is the demonic ancestor really undying? Is there really no one in the world who can kill him? Lu Jingyun thought in his heart. Then, he changed his mind. He cast his gaze on Du Xiaofu on the other side. He clearly knew that an important part of his father's plan was this Uncle Master Du, who was much, much younger than him. It could be said that if he wanted to kill the demonic ancestor, it had to be Uncle Master Du. I hope everything will go smoothly and we can successfully kill the demonic ancestor. Lu Jingyun muttered under his breath. Then, he stopped thinking about it. Like everyone else, he gently closed his eyes and continued to adjust his breathing. Everyone was quietly healing their injuries. Among them, Du Xiaofu's body was emitting the biggest movement. The world outside his body was constantly rotating, releasing a strange power. Along with it, a peculiar aura descended. This aura was different from the aura of a powerhouse. Instead, it had the aura of nature. This charm was incomparably compatible with the great Tao. It was close to nature. Du Xiaofu's great Tao origin energy was emitting. Following this situation, it became more and more vigorous. Cultivating in the meditative realm was to pursue the great Tao origin energy in order to achieve perfection. Only with such a foundation could one attack the Tao-bearing realm. If one wanted to break free from the shackles of the world, one had to first understand it and then find a way to break it. The greatest thing in the world was the great Tao. The power of life was very weak in front of it. Wanting to break through the Tao-bearing realm with one's strength was no different from a fool's dream. Now, Du Xiaofu was walking on the path of condensing the great Tao origin energy. Time passed rapidly in this space. Du Xiaofu also maintained this state. This was a space formed by many kinds of laws. Time was accelerated several hundred times. One day in the outside world was close to half a year here. It was much more ferocious than Du Xiaofu's original desolate ancient space. It was also because of this that while Du Xiaofu's aura was rapidly rising, the situation outside hadn't changed much. Under the leadership of Di Batian, Donghuang Taixian, and the others, the several million powerhouses of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds chased closely behind the demons, constantly attacking them. It was obvious that the demons were at an absolute disadvantage. They didn't dare to stop, otherwise they would have to face another huge slaughter. The final result would be the demons' defeat. However, Dongli Qi Huang, Chen Yan, and the three demon generals didn't reveal the slightest bit of worry. Instead, they methodically commanded the countless demons to fight. In many cases, they separated from the powerhouses of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds upon contact and then continued to flee. In this way, not only could they delay the footsteps of those outside, they could also ensure that the demons wouldn't suffer great losses. It seems that these demons really do want to stall for time. Batian exchanged a blow with the blood god demon general and then exchanged a few blows with him. Then, he saw the blood god demon general retreat again. The demons' intentions were obvious. They wanted to slow them down, and their goal was to stall for time. They were likely buying time for the demon ancestor to recover. "We're not in a hurry. That brat Xiao Yu must have thought of this. We only need to pursue with all our strength and not deliberately pursue the greatest victory. We didn't enter the 18 levels of hell to fight a decisive battle." Donghuang Taixien nodded and said to Batian. After they received Lu Xiaoyou's message, they entered the 18 levels of hell. The instructions they received were the same as the powerhouses of the 33 heavens. They didn't need to fight with their lives on the line. The most important thing was to preserve their strength. One could imagine that Lu Xiaoyu must have other arrangements. The true decisive battle still needed time to brew. Otherwise, if he and Xiaolong came here, why would they fear a few injured demon generals? And in the end, Lu Xiaoyu himself would definitely descend upon this place. Thus, Donghuang Taixien wasn't in a hurry. He would play with the demons for a while, because when the critical moment arrived, some signs would inevitably appear. Who cares? Let's kill to our heart's content first. Didn't the demons want to fight while fleeing? This way, we'll be able to suppress them even more. One of the experts beside Batian spat out and said. That's true. Although we don't have to deliberately pursue victory, it's absolutely good if we can kill a few more demons. Batian and Donghuang Taixien looked at each other and smiled. Then, they instantly sped up and chased after the demon army. They didn't just focus on attacking the 3 demon generals. Instead, they took advantage of the time when the demons retreated to kill a large number of other demon experts. Under the suppression of the two's terrifying strength, the demons weren't a match at all. Just a single attack was enough to crush a large number of them into nothingness. Damn it! This scene was quickly discovered by Dongli Chihuang and Chen Yan. They couldn't help but curse. They only hated that they weren't strong enough and couldn't stop the 2 powerhouses. But when they saw all this, they really didn't have a good way to deal with it. Unless they let the 3 demon generals fight with all their strength and restrain Batian and Donghuang Taixien, they wouldn't be able to act wantonly. Otherwise, after a few levels of hell, there wouldn't be many left of the millions of demons. Those were half-step Dao realm experts. How could they be considered as killing someone? It was more like they were harvesting wheat. It's better to let the 3 demon generals work harder. When we go a few levels down and gather more people, we'll kill all these creatures. Chen Yan's eyes were gloomy, and he gnashed his teeth in hatred. The 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds were truly terrifying. If it weren't for the fact that they wanted to buy time for their lord to fuse with his soul, they would have retreated with all their strength and gathered more people to fight again. Let's just delay them for a while. If there's really no other way, we'll retreat first and let the 3 demon generals bring up the rear. We can't let them charge directly to the 17th level of hell. As long as they reach the 14th or 15th level, our powerhouses will rush over. At that time, it'll be the same to stop them. Dongli Chihuang thought for a moment and said. If they wanted to delay the people of the 33 heavens and 3,000 boundless worlds, perhaps they didn't have to fight on the 12th level of hell. If they went a few levels down, there would be plenty of opportunities to stop them. Alright, let's do that. Chen Yan couldn't help but nod when he heard this. Then, he issued an order to all the demons. Immediately after, the 3 demon generals moved with all their strength and restrained Batian and Donghuang Taixien. The other demons retreated with all their strength and headed toward the entrance of the 13th level of hell. It was still a chase, but this time, Di Batian and Donghuang Taixien couldn't attack the weaker demons. Since the demons were retreating at full speed, it wasn't easy for the powerhouses to chase after them. As time continued to pass, the millions of people finally arrived at a broken seal. Everyone had seen this seal many times. It was a terrifying thing that the great god Pangu had set up in ancient times to suppress the demon ancestor's soul. However, as the demon ancestor was resurrected and entered the 18th level of hell, the terrifying seal was destroyed layer by layer, resulting in the current scene. Although the seal was broken, it still retained an extremely powerful aura. Hellfire raged and burned fiercely within it. The demons, 3,000 boundless worlds, and all the powerhouses of the 33 heavens rushed in and entered the hellfire. Nearly 10 million figures were directly engulfed by the boundless flames. In Lu Jingyun's independent space, no one cared about how much time had passed. They were all wholeheartedly focused on their cultivation. This was especially true for Du Xiaofu, who didn't have such a concept. At this moment, the power outside his body became even more vigorous. The strange world became even larger, and there were thousands of scenes in it. It was extremely beautiful. If it weren't for the fact that he was in the meditative state, he would have thought that all of this was real. Although Du Xiaofu didn't know how long he had spent cultivating this time, in fact, in the 12th level of hell, the 33 heavens and 3,000 boundless worlds powerhouses had chased the demons for several years. During this time, hundreds of years had quietly passed. Walala, as Du Xiaofu cultivated, the strange world kept spinning. Everything in the world revolved around him. He was the supreme god of this world, and no one could compare to him. At the same time, all things in the world form released a strange energy, which then condensed and gathered together, finally turning into a vast river that rushed into Du Xiaofu's body. This was the power of the great Tao's origin. It was all absorbed into his body and hidden in the dark. Du Xiaofu's body surged with a fierce power that was incomparably terrifying. It should be over soon. At this time, Lu Jingyun and the others who were sitting cross-legged in the distance woke up one after another and opened their eyes. Everyone looked in the direction of Du Xiaofu, wanting to see his condition. After hundreds of years of recovery, most people's strength had reached a perfect state, and some people had even faintly improved. Should we wait for Uncle Master Du, or go out and fight the demons now? Lu Ro's red lips parted slightly as she looked at Lu Jingyun and asked. Let's wait a little longer. Uncle Master Du should be here soon. Lu Jingyun said without looking at his sister. After that, everyone stopped talking and continued to stare at Du Xiaofu. Under everyone's gaze, the changes in Du Xiaofu's body continued. Not long after, all of this became even more mysterious and unpredictable. Everything in the independent world emitted a strange energy, which then gathered into a huge river and poured into Du Xiaofu's body like a long dragon. As time continued to pass, all matter began to collapse. Terrifying energy surged and shook, completely enveloping Du Xiaofu within it, causing his entire body to be submerged in an ocean of energy. This sea of energy kept shrinking, and its power slowly faded. Lu Jingyun and the others knew that all of this had been swallowed by Du Xiaofu and returned to his body. Sizzle, the sea of energy surged and slowly shrank. Finally, it disappeared completely, revealing Du Xiaofu's existence. The purple-robed young man sat cross-legged in the void with his eyes closed. Phew, he exhaled a long breath of turbid air from his mouth, causing the entire space to tremble. Swoosh, then, Du Xiaofu's eyes suddenly opened, and two bright rays of light penetrated the space as if they were solid, striking two black holes. I've finally recovered. Du Xiaofu opened his mouth and muttered. Feeling the power in his body, he could not help but smile. At the same time, he was pleasantly surprised. This trip to the 18 levels of hell and the continuous battles had allowed him to gain a lot, and his understanding of the power of the Great Path had reached a new level. His cultivation had also become more stable, and his mastery of the second level of the Void Path, Dao transformation technique, had also become more and more proficient. Most importantly, the improvement in his cultivation had brought about a great increase in his strength. Du Xiaofu had a feeling that even if he were to face an ordinary third-stage meditative realm expert, he would still be able to fight with all his might. Of course, people like Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Long Ke, and Long Su, who were at the peak of the third stage of meditative realm, were not included. Although Du Xiaofu was confident, he was not arrogant to such an extent. He knew very well that he was still far from these people in terms of strength, let alone the realm of enlightenment. However, his advantage was also very obvious, and that was that he did not have a huge bottleneck. As long as his comprehension reached a certain level, his cultivation would naturally increase, and surpassing everyone was only a matter of time. Why are you all staring at me like that? Du Xiaofu rubbed his nose and realized that everyone in the space was looking at him. Those gazes seemed to be staring at something strange, causing him to feel a little uncomfortable. Du Xiaofu could not help but suppress the thoughts in his heart, then raised his head and asked, "How's the situation outside?" The thing that concerned him the most at the moment was still the battle in the 18 levels of hell. Lu Jingyun did not hide anything and immediately told Du Xiaofu everything he had found out. After a simple explanation, Du Xiaofu quickly understood the devil race's intentions. Their idea is not bad, but we can't just watch the devil race fight and retreat. Du Xiaofu's eyes were burning as he said, "Aren't they trying to buy time for the devil ancestor to recover? Even if they can't stop the devil ancestor, they can't let the devil race fight too easily." As Du Xiaofu spoke, his eyes suddenly focused and shot out a piercing cold. Grandmaster is leading people in pursuit. It won't be that easy for the devil race to retreat. Lu Jingyun nodded and said. Di Batian and Donghuang Tai Xian naturally understood the devil race's intentions. They had been constantly chasing, and the devil race had been fighting and retreating at the same time. They were facing a huge obstacle. Everyone should have recovered by now. Let's go out. Du Xiaofu waved his arm and said to the many powerhouses around him, the powerhouses of the 3,000 boundless domains and the 33 heavens will join forces to fight. We can still continue to sweep through for a while. After saying that, Lu Jingyun opened the exit of the space. Everyone rushed out and landed in front of the experts outside with great momentum. Chapter 29-29. Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, and the others left the isolated space and entered the broken seal that led to the 13th level of hell. Di Batian and Donghuang Taixian led the experts from the 3,000 universes and the 33 heavens. Even though they were surrounded by endless flames, they still attacked the demons from time to time. Violent and domineering energy stirred up the sea of fire, causing the broken seal to shake uncontrollably. When Du Xiaofu and the others appeared, many experts surrounded them. Boss! Dad, Brother Jingyun! Yuqin Divine Emperor! Many experts came forward and stared at Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, and the others. Everyone has almost recovered. Next, let's let the demons have a good time. Du Xiaofu's eyes burned brightly as he stared at the many demon race members who were fleeing in panic. At the same time, he glanced at Di Batian and Donghuang Taixian and felt a little surprised. Du Xiaofu had long known that these two experts were half-step to the carrier of Dao realm, but Du Xiaofu hadn't expected them to be able to suppress the three demon generals. This was really beyond his expectations. Normally, the three demon generals were at the carrier of Dao realm. Even if their strength was greatly reduced, they were definitely not people who could be defeated by ordinary people. It seemed that Di Batian and Donghuang Taixian were too strong. At the very least, they were much stronger than he had imagined. Senior brother's master's strength is really terrifying. Du Xiaofu murmured in his heart. His respect for Di Batian rose again. Di Batian's terrifying combat strength was probably not much weaker than senior brother Lu Xiaoyu himself. With the presence of Di Batian and Donghuang Taixien, the following battles in the 18 levels of hell would definitely be much easier. Unlike before, whenever they encountered experts like the Blood Ancestor and the three demon generals, Du Xiaofu and the others would fall into an extremely passive situation and face life or death situations at all times. However, Du Xiaofu was also very clear in his heart that there were definitely powerful demons in the 18 layers of hell. Perhaps it wasn't as simple as just the three demon generals. And if a few more of those experts came, the situation would become grim again. Senior brother definitely has the corresponding arrangements for these matters, so there's no need for me to worry too much. Suddenly, Du Xiaofu's eyes lit up as he thought of this. Everything was arranged by senior brother Lu Xiaoyu. These experts from the 3,000 sectors must have been instructed by him to enter the 18 levels of hell. Therefore, there was no need for him to worry too much at the moment. For Du Xiaofu, his first priority was to raise his cultivation level. After that, he would lead the experts to continue pushing their way through the 18 levels of hell until they could no longer advance any further. It might not be easy for the devil race to retreat with ease. Du Xiaofu's eyes lit up, and he gazed at Dongli Qihuang, Chen Yan, the three demon generals, and the others who were ceaselessly descending through the hell flames. He waved his arm and shouted loudly, "The hell flames are a good battlefield. Fellow Taoists, leave a portion of you behind to protect the Eternal Realm experts. Kill the rest with me." As soon as Du Xiaofu finished speaking, his figure shot out violently, and he charged directly towards Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yan. Kill! Di Batian, Donghuang Taixien, Lu Jingyun, Long Ke, and the others at the meditative realm exchanged glances, and then they instantly flashed down and charged towards the devils. On the other hand, most of the experts from the 33 heavens and 3,000 sectors didn't move. The hell flames were extremely dangerous to Eternal Realm experts, and they required the protection of Meditative Realm experts to pass through safely. However, to the experts from these two worlds, there were already close to 400 people in the Meditative Realm. They only needed to leave a small portion of them to lead the many Eternal Realm experts, and the rest could fight. Just as Du Xiaofu had said, the Broken Seal was a good battlefield. The devil race also needed to protect a large number of Eternal Realm experts to pass through. They were already at a disadvantage, and now they had to face the attacks of Du Xiaofu and the others, which made it even harder for them to protect their left and right. Damn Du Xiaofu! Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yan quickly realized Du Xiaofu's intention, and they couldn't help but curse out loud. However, there was nothing they could do, and they could only brace themselves to fight. Leave the three demon generals to the two of us, and they'll immediately become mere decorations. They won't be of any use at all. Donghuang Taixien said with a smile as he blocked the three demon generals with Di Batian. Originally, with the three of them, the devil race had an absolute advantage. However, this advantage was naturally restricted with the arrival of Di Batian and Donghuang Taixien. They couldn't provide any help to the devil race at all. Dongli Qihuang, Chen Yan, fight with me. Du Xiaofu walked through the boundless flames with the purple-gold heavenly palace in his hand. His hair and purple robe fluttered as he pointed at Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yan and shouted loudly. He felt that the great Tao origin energy was surging endlessly, and the four primordial laws were moving at the same time. They circulated endlessly, brewing a violent and domineering force that swept towards the two opposite him. The surrounding space of flames was greatly affected, and it was as if it had frozen. The terrifying power was directed at the eastern flame Scarlet Phoenix and Chen Yan, making it difficult for them to dodge. Du Xiaofu, since you want to die, we'll send you on your way. Chen Yan's gaze focused as he looked at the violet-robed young man that was charging towards him, and he spoke coldly. The two of us have been in the 18 levels of hell for many years, and our strength can't be compared to the past. This time, we'll absolutely not let you escape. Dongli Chihuang's face became savage as he stared at Du Xiaofu while killing intent surged from his entire body. They'd already recovered their strength to the third level of meditative realm, so they were naturally much stronger than when they fought Du Xiaofu. Both of them had awakened their ancient memories, so their strength recovered naturally. They believed that when they faced Du Xiaofu this time, it would absolutely be impossible for them to be completely suppressed by him like in the past. No matter how abnormal Du Xiaofu was, no matter how outstanding his natural talent was, and no matter how terrifying his cultivation speed was, he would absolutely be unable to compare to the two of them. Why speak so much nonsense? Come and fight. Du Xiaofu shouted coldly, and an extremely dazzling ray of sword light responded to Dongli Chihuang and Chen Yan. This ray of sword light carried a peerlessly sharp aura, and it seemed capable of splitting the heavens and the earth apart as it assaulted them. Kill! When facing such a sword strike, Dongli Chihuang and Chen Yan didn't speak any further, and they instantly moved to meet it head-on. Both of them instantly collided, and a terrifying battle erupted. Presently, Du Xiaofu's strength was already on par with the two of them, and he actually didn't fall into a disadvantaged position when fighting the two of them by himself. Such an outcome was rather surprising to the two devil attendants as well. On the other side, the battle between Di Batian, Donghuang Taixian, and the three devil generals was extremely terrifying as well. The strength of half-step enlightened realm experts was truly world-shaking. The damaged seal was struck to the point it became even more damaged, and boundless tongues of flames roared through the surging energy as if they intended to devour everything. It won't be so easy for the demons to retreat so easily. Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Lu Ying, Long Ke, Long Su, and at least 200 other meditative realm experts stepped into the air and charged towards the millions of demons. At this time, the other side's meditative realm experts needed to protect a large number of immortals, and they couldn't spare too many people to deal with them. As such, the situation immediately revealed a side that caused the demons to despair. Facing the surprise attack of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds, they were completely in a passive situation. They could only stick together and defend, stubbornly defending their formation. Lu Jingyun and the others' attacks descended, and the rumbling sounds were incessant, all of them attacking the weak points of the demon's formation. Ka. As time passed, cracks began to appear in many areas of the demon's defense. A few more waves, and the demons will definitely suffer heavy casualties. A powerhouse from the 33 heavens saw this scene and said with a chuckle. As long as they broke through the demon's defense and exposed a large number of immortals to the terrifying hellfire, there would definitely be many casualties. Such an outcome was something the 33 heavens and 3,000 boundless worlds would naturally be happy to see. With such thoughts in mind, everyone attacked with all their might. As expected, under everyone's efforts, that powerful defense with a Qi-La sound was torn open, and at least 100 immortals were swept out and wrapped in terrifying flames. Zzz, these were no ordinary flames, but were set up by the great god Pangu in ancient times, used to suppress the primordial spirit of the demon ancestor, and it was absolutely terrifying. Even though the power of the seal was greatly reduced, it was still not something normal warriors could touch. After these demons touched the flames, in addition to the 33 heavens powerhouses attacking from the side, over 100 of them were quickly incinerated into piles of ash. Quick, defend with all your might. We can't let them break through our defenses again. A devil in the meditative forgetting realm shouted anxiously. Lu Jingyun and the others' actions were to exhaust the demon's battle strength, and at the same time, the 33 heavens and 3,000 boundless worlds were completely unharmed. For the demons, this was really too much of a loss. There was no need to hesitate. Many meditative realm demons instantly activated the power in their bodies and used all their strength to set up an even stronger defense. It had to be said that these demons were indeed not ordinary. In a situation where their numbers were not inferior to Lu Jingyun and the others, they were actually able to tightly defend the formation. Lu Jingyun and the others' attacks continued to be earth-shattering, but this time, it was extremely difficult to shake this kind of defense. It's just a last-ditch struggle. No matter how strong the demon's defense is, there will be a day when it will be broken through. Above, millions of immortals from the 33 heavens and 3,000 boundless worlds, as well as 200 to 300 meditative realm powerhouses, all looked at the situation below with shining eyes. They were extremely happy to see such a situation. The demons were like turtles, and they could only passively take a beating without being able to make any counterattack. In this way, it was absolutely only a matter of time to break through their defense. If this hellfire is all the way, it's only a matter of time before the demons are all wiped out. A powerhouse said. These words caused many people to nod in agreement. Everyone knew very well in their hearts that although the demons were in an absolute state of defense, they could not maintain a complete formation forever. Once Lu Jingyun and the others broke through the defense, it would naturally cause many immortals to die. And if the hellfire was endless, it wouldn't be impossible for it to wipe out the entire demon race. Fortunately, the powerhouses from the 3,000 boundless worlds rushed over in time. Otherwise, at this time, the powerhouses of the 33 heavens would be the ones being beaten passively. Someone from the 33 heavens said with a sigh. Yes, all of this must have been arranged by the master of the 3,000 boundless worlds. Since he allowed us to enter the 18 levels of hell, he definitely won't let us die in vain. Soon, another person spoke out in such a manner. At this time, everyone from the 33 heavens felt as if they had been given a new lease on life. During the battle with the Blood Ancestor, they had been worried for Du Xiaofu and the other meditative realm powerhouses. In addition, Dongli Qihuang and Qin Yan, together with the 3 demon generals, had appeared, creating an unimaginable pressure on the millions of powerhouses. There was no doubt that if the powerhouses from the 3,000 boundless worlds hadn't appeared in time, most of them would have been killed or injured. Most of them would have died. Whether it was the Blood Ancestor or the 3 demon generals, to them, they were monstrously terrifying existences. They were simply not people they could fight against. However, after thinking about it for a moment, it was clear that the powerhouses from the 3,000 boundless worlds had appeared at this critical time because all of this had been arranged by the master of the 3,000 boundless worlds, Lu Xiaoyu. Since he dared to let millions of people from the 33 heavens enter the 18 levels of hell and come into direct contact with the demons, he must have his own confidence. He definitely wouldn't send them to their deaths. That would be worthless. The 13th level of hell is not far away. I hope we can kill more demons here, muttered a powerhouse as he looked at the battle below. Under their gazes, Du Xiaofu, Dongli Qihuang, and Qin Yan, the 2 demon attendants, fought fiercely. All 3 of them were at the 3rd level of the meditative realm. In the past, they were existences that could shake the entire 33 heavens. As they fought in the endless flames of hell, all 3 of them did their best to suppress each other. As they continued to fight, the 2 demon attendants were incomparably astonished. It wasn't until they fought many times that they truly reacted. It turned out that Du Xiaofu was much more terrifying than they'd imagined. He actually hadn't fallen into a disadvantageous position when the 2 of them joined forces. This kid really is abnormal enough. If the 2 of us hadn't joined forces, I'm afraid it would really be difficult for us to defeat him. Qin Yan gritted his teeth and fought Du Xiaofu with all his might as he spoke hatefully. He really couldn't imagine how Du Xiaofu's strength could break through so quickly. It was simply unbelievable. If I'd known earlier that he would be like this, I would have asked my lord to directly suppress him when he entered the 33 heavens. It wouldn't have caused so much trouble now. Dongli Qihuang also felt the roots of his teeth itch. It could be said that he hated Du Xiaofu to the bone. Du Xiaofu's strength had grown too quickly, completely beyond the comprehension of ordinary people. Even if Dongli Qihuang and Qin Yan were powerhouses from ancient times, they still found it hard to imagine. They had boundless regret in their hearts. Why didn't they give this kid a final blow when the great calamity of the devil religion in Shenwu world ended and directly cut off his chance of rebirth? Or they could have killed him early after he entered the 33 heavens. That way, he wouldn't have become a huge problem for the devil race today. However, this wasn't the most important thing. What worried Dongli Chihuang and Chen Yan the most was that once Du Xiaofu grew to the ultimate land, he would be an unimaginable threat to the devil ancestor. Kill. Du Xiaofu didn't care about what the two of them were thinking. He shouted sternly and slashed repeatedly with the broadsword in his hand. Terrifying sword rays pierced through the heavens and the earth, and one after another, they attacked the other party. On the other side, Di Batian and Donghuang Taixien joined forces to fight the three devil generals. Although they couldn't quickly suppress the three devil generals, the two of them were exceedingly powerful and definitely had the upper hand. Meanwhile, Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Lu Ying, Long Ke, Long Su, and the other powerhouses of the Oblivion realm tore a hole in the devil race's defense after their relentless attacks. Die for me. Taking advantage of this opportunity, a powerhouse of the second level of the Oblivion realm roared and slashed a ferocious sword ray into the devil race's crowd through the hole. Ah! Suddenly, a series of shrill cries rang out. Blood and flesh flew everywhere as a large number of devil race members were killed. How could an undying realm powerhouse resist the attack of an Oblivion realm powerhouse? There were even more people who didn't even have the time to scream before they died in a formless manner. Quick, reinforce the defense. Some Oblivion realm powerhouses of the devil race cried out in shock. They rushed madly to the hole in the devil race's defense and reformed the powerful defense. They didn't dare to relax at all. If they weren't careful, a large number of powerhouses would die. The Oblivion realm powerhouse's attack just now had killed thousands of undying realm powerhouses. Continue to attack. I'd like to see how long these devil race members can hold on. A Oblivion realm powerhouse from the 3,000 boundless worlds shouted coldly as he pointed at the devil race's defense formation. To them, they didn't feel any pressure at all. However, the devil race had to maintain their full strength at all times. This was also a huge drain on their strength. As long as they could break through the devil race's defense again and again, the battle would definitely be fruitful. We have to hold on. As long as we break through this seal and enter the 13th layer of hell, it'll be much easier. An expert from the demon race said. Passing through the flames of hell had become a huge challenge to them. It brought them endless pressure. Everyone felt that the journey had become incomparably long. They all wanted to enter the 13th layer of hell as soon as possible. And if they went down a few more layers, they would receive strong reinforcements from the devil race. Only then would they have a real battle with the devil race. It was under such circumstances that the devil race, 3,000 boundless worlds, and 33 skies all went down together. After 2 more rounds of defense, the devil race finally broke through the boundless flames of hell and entered the 13th layer of hell. Chapter 29-30. With the arrival of nearly 10 million experts, the 13th level of hell also welcomed a huge commotion. The power of many experts intertwined together, like a meteorite falling from the sky, tearing apart the heavens and splitting the earth. In that instant, the people of Demon Clan were like drowning people grabbing onto a life-saving straw, as they hurriedly took a few breaths of air. Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Long Ke, Long Su, and the other experts continued to attack them, causing these Demon Clan to be under immense pressure. They could die at any time. When they entered the 13th level of hell, they finally recovered and lost all thoughts of fighting back. Du Xiaofu, one day, I will make you die without a burial ground. After Dongli Chihuang and Shen Yan exchanged a blow with Du Xiaofu, they instantly retreated and flew into the distance. In addition, the Blood God Demon General, Ming Luo Demon General, and Desolate Fiend Demon General also shook off Di Batian and Donghuang Taixien, and led millions of Demon Clan S to quickly escape. Right now, the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless world were too powerful and ferocious. They did not dare to fight and escape, as this would only cause the other party to attack even more ferociously. It was obvious that with such a huge disparity in strength, the ones who would suffer in the end would definitely be the demon clan. If you have the ability, then just come at me. What are you running for? Facing the words of the two great demon attendants, Du Xiaofu could not help but sneer, and replied as such. He was very clear about what the two of them were thinking. They were just spouting nonsense. At most, they would wait for the reinforcements of the demon clan to arrive, and then fight against the many experts on his side. However, Du Xiaofu was not afraid of this. Since he had to make a trip to the 18th level of hell, he had to at least make a big fuss and let the demon clan suffer. Humph! Hearing Du Xiaofu's words, Dongli Chihuang coldly snorted and did not say anything else. Kill! We can't let the demon clan escape so easily. The powerhouses of the 33 heavens and 3,000 boundless worlds were all overjoyed. Countless people roared out loud as they raised their swords and sabers and charged forwards. However, unlike in the 12th layer of hell, this time, the devil race did not dare to stop and deal with them. The attacks of Lu Jingyun and the others in the broken seal made many people's hearts turn cold. Under such circumstances, the nearly 10 million people continued to charge towards the entrance of the 14th layer of hell. However, Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, Di Batian, Donghuang Taixian, and the others clearly wouldn't let the devils escape so easily. Their half-step Tao realm and meditative realm experts unleashed their full strength and slaughtered a large number of sempiternal realm experts along the way. When they saw such losses, Dongli Chihuang, Chen Yan, and the three demon generals felt powerless because they were utterly unable to stop all of this. When the entrance to the 14th level of hell was in sight, Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, Dragon Fault and the others who were charging forward suddenly froze and looked at each other. Under their senses, the feeling that appeared in the previous levels of hell surfaced once again. There's also an expert hibernating in this level. Du Xiaofu's heart became solemn once again. This feeling that had suddenly appeared was not unfamiliar. It was as if there was some kind of terrifying existence in the dark, and the faint fluctuations that were emitted caused the hearts of meditative forgetfulness experts like them to palpitate. Unknowingly, that heartbeat and breathing sound resonated with everyone, causing them to panic for no reason. This was definitely not an ability that an ordinary expert could possess. Naturally, it attracted the attention of Du Xiaofu and the others. Martial Ancestor, are you able to find out who the expert hiding in the dark is? Lu Jingyun tilted his head and looked at Di Batian as he voiced his thoughts. He felt that all of this wouldn't escape Di Batian and Donghuang Taishuan's detection. Half-step Tao realm experts were definitely more sensitive to the structure of the 18th level of hell than meditative realm experts. Therefore, Lu Jingyun hoped that Di Batian and Donghuang Taixian could answer their questions. Upon hearing Lu Jingyun's question, the other forgotten realm experts turned to look at the two top experts from the 3,000 boundless worlds. Seal. The life that you've sensed is real, but it's bound by a terrifying seal and can't move at all. Di Batian didn't hide anything and said directly. Seal. However, such words caused the crowd to become even more puzzled. That's right. Di Batian nodded and said, that's right. Every level of hell is a boundless prison, and it's shrouded by the most terrifying seal in the world. Although the demon ancestor has broken through these seals time and time again to enter the 18th level of hell and find his scattered primordial spirit, the other places are still intact and continue to function as seals. The life force that you've sensed is in such a seal. When he said that, everyone understood what was going on. It turned out that the 18th level of hell was sealed from the inside to the outside, covering almost every part of it. It made sense. If one wanted to seal someone as powerful as the demon ancestor, if there were any loopholes, he could easily escape. The great god Pangu must have thought of this in the ancient times, and naturally wouldn't have allowed such a thing to happen so easily. Du Xiaofu also understood that in recent years, the boundless starfield outside the 18th level of hell was almost exhausted, which led to the demon ancestor's primordial spirit breaking through the seal of the first level of hell and breaking into the 33 heavens. He then became a demon god and wreaked havoc in the divine martial world. Since there are people that have been sealed, Senior, could you possibly know the identities of those sealed people? Are they experts of the demon clan? Du Xiaofu looked up and looked at Di Badian and Donghuang Taishan again. Before the experts of the 3,000 sectors arrived, they had sensed the existence of these life forms in the 5th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th levels of hell. Now, the same thing had happened in the 13th level of hell, and everyone couldn't help but be curious. Du Xiaofu and the others wanted to know the origins of these sealed people, and why they were still sealed. If they were people of the demon clan, could the demon ancestor not have saved them all along the way? From what I see, these people are probably not experts of the demon clan. Donghuang Taishan thought for a while and said such a sentence. As if he felt that this deduction was not particularly certain, he immediately added, "It's just that I can't really determine their origins. The only thing I can be sure of is that the strength of these experts in the seal is probably above the two of us." As Donghuang Taishan spoke, he gave Di Badian a look, and the other party nodded. Obviously, Di Badian had the same feeling. Such a result really made Du Xiaofu and the others' hearts tighten fiercely. Earlier, they had inferred that these hidden people were just unwilling to appear and were in a deep sleep. Now it seemed that this was obviously wrong. However, they had also thought that such existences were definitely terrifying. They were most likely in the realm of enlightenment. After Donghuang Taishan and Di Badian's affirmation, everyone was truly certain. They couldn't help but feel extremely shocked. There are so many realm of enlightenment experts, but we don't know their identities. We can't tell whether they're friends or foes. This is really not a good thing. Du Xiaofu muttered, frowning slightly. If these sealed people were from the demon clan, once they appeared in the future war, they would bring unimaginable trouble to the 33 heavens and the 3,000 universes. Du Xiaofu absolutely believed in Jiangqin's methods. It would be too easy for him to save these people. Perhaps he was just too anxious to fuse with his own primordial spirit and didn't have time to care about these experts. In addition, if the sealed existences were all ancient experts of the 33 heavens, then Du Xiaofu couldn't remain calm. If one day they were confirmed to be such experts, he had to do something to help them reappear in the world and break free from the shackles of the 18 levels of hell. Kid, don't be anxious. Let's take it one step at a time. Everything will be revealed one day. You don't have to worry too much about these things. I'm sure that Kid Xiaoyu must be aware of this as well. Let's just wait and see. Di Badian, who was beside Du Xiaofu, suddenly smiled and patted the purple-robed youth on the shoulder. He thought highly of the young man beside him and couldn't help but sigh in his heart. In the future, he would likely become an existence on the same level as his disciple. When he thought of this, Di Badian couldn't help but sigh. He felt both gratified and envious. If it weren't for some special reasons in the 3,000 universes, their great world would have given birth to more realm of enlightenment experts. Lu Xiaoyu wouldn't have been the only one at the peak after so many years. If that were the case, their upcoming battle with the demon clan would be much easier with the participation of a large number of realm of enlightenment experts. Forget about these things. Let's focus on hunting down the demon clan first. Lu Jinyun muttered to himself for a moment, then raised his gaze and looked ahead. His entire body surged with a terrifying battle intent as he rushed towards the demon clan experts in front of him. The other experts of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 universes didn't say anything else and rushed towards the entrance of the 14th layer of hell. As for the faint fluctuations in the dark, they no longer paid attention to them. Kill, accompanied by terrifying battle cries, nearly 10 million experts from the demon clan, the 33 heavens, and the 3,000 universes whizzed through the space like a hurricane. Just the power they naturally emitted was enough to destroy a large area of space and turn it into a state of chaos. The demon clan had suffered a lot during this period, being chased and beaten by many experts along the way. The ones who suffered the most were the immortal realm experts. Even though the 2 demon servants, 3 demon generals, and many meditative realm experts fought with all their strength, they still couldn't stop the attacks of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 universes. This was because Du Xiaofu had too many meditative realm experts on his side. After some of them restrained the demon clan experts, the rest could attack without restraint. In such a situation, the demon clan fled all the way, rushing towards the entrance of the 14th layer of hell. Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, Long Ke, Di Batian, Donghuang Tai Xian, and the other experts led the experts of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 universes in hot pursuit. Terrifying attacks descended like a tsunami, causing the demon clan experts to tremble in fear. Whether it was in the 13th layer of hell or when they entered the broken seal of the 13th layer of hell, it was the same. Du Xiaofu and the others had no intention of letting the demon clan go. They attacked with all their might, causing the demon clan to lose a large number of experts. Kill. The massacre of the experts of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 universes was earth-shattering. Terrifying roars pierced through the clouds, killing everything in their path. In the following period of time, the 14th layer of hell, the 15th layer of hell, and the broken seal between the 14th and 15th layers of hell were all set off a monstrous massacre. At least dozens of years had passed. The demon clan was chased all the way, and at least hundreds of thousands of troops were lost. Just like that, Du Xiaofu and the others killed them bit by bit. The casualties were heavy. However, Dongli Qi Huang, Chen Yan, and the 3 demon generals did not dare to stop. The closer they were to the end, the less they had the courage to fight the experts of the 3,000 universes and the 33 heavens. The result of stopping was to die. The aura of the millions of experts from the outside world was like a rainbow, piercing through the sun and moon. Their killing intent was shocking, causing one's scalp to tingle. The experts of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 universes were all excited, almost going crazy. The massacre of the demon clan made them feel incomparably carefree, unprecedented. However, such a scene came to an abrupt end when everyone entered the entrance to the 16th layer of hell. The reinforcements of the demon clan have arrived, and several demon generals have appeared. Next will be the most difficult battle we've had since we entered the 18th level of hell. Du Xiaofu's gaze focused fiercely. At this moment, they were within the boundless flames that led to the 16th layer of hell. Through the raging flames, they could see a large number of experts of the demon clan rushing over ferociously, and they were charging towards them. After a preliminary estimate, the innumerable experts that stretched as far as the eye could see numbered in the millions. Moreover, when Dongli Qi Huang, Chen Yan, and the others were added together, it was completely not inferior to the number of experts on Du Xiaofu's side. The most terrifying part was that these experts were led by 3 demon generals. Coupled with a large number of meditative realms, their strength had already surpassed Du Xiaofu's group. These 3 demon generals won't be able to cause much trouble. Don't worry, we still have reinforcements. Di Batian revealed a cold smile as he gazed at the numerous experts of the demon clan that were flying over swiftly from below. Reinforcements? Du Xiaofu raised his eyebrows, but he wasn't too surprised. Perhaps the strength of the 3,000 sectors had yet to be fully displayed, so it was reasonable for reinforcements to arrive. However, Du Xiaofu still had some doubts. Di Batian and Donghuang Taixian were the rulers of 2 of the top worlds in the 3,000 sectors, and they had already reached the most terrifying realm. Even if they had reinforcements, could they be stronger than the 3 demon generals who had just joined the battle? However, Du Xiaofu didn't voice out his doubts. Since Di Batian was so confident, he naturally had considerable confidence. Du Xiaofu's eyes flickered as he watched Dongli Qi Huang, Chen Yan, the three demon generals, and the remaining few million immortal realms of the demon clan converge with the experts of the demon clan who were rushing over quickly. Dongli Qi Huang and the others heaved a long sigh of relief. "Let's fight!" Dong Huang Taishian suddenly shouted coldly. With a large golden saber in his hand, he directly swooped down to meet the experts of the demon clan. "Fight!" Du Xiaofu also shouted. The purple-gold heavenly palace in his hand vibrated and struck down with unparalleled power. Only meditative forgetfulness experts can fight here. The others can't fight. Once the battle starts, we can't protect everyone. Let's all enter my space. Lu Jingyun stretched out his hand and waved gently. He opened his independent space and put all the immortal realms into it, leaving only a few hundred meditative forgetfulness experts behind. The hell flame was extremely terrifying, and it was a dangerous place for immortal realms. Without the protection of meditative forgetfulness experts, unimaginable casualties were likely to occur. Di Batian, Donghuang Taishian, Du Xiaofu, and Lu Jingyun had to fight the demon clan, so they naturally didn't have much time to take care of everyone. The safest way was to send all of them into the independent space and ensure their safety. Only then could they fight the demon clan with peace of mind. People of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 sectors, what do you think the 18 levels of hell is? Was it his own backyard? How dare you act so presumptuously in the demon clan's territory? The three demon generals, who had just arrived, couldn't help but speak coldly when they saw Di Batian, Donghuang Taishian, and Du Xiaofu charging toward them. The auras of these three people were different and extremely terrifying. The first person was surrounded by dense flames that seemed to be able to burn through everything and turn the world into ashes. He released a scorching aura. The second person's limbs were slender, and his elbows and knees were as sharp as blades. Two thin horns swayed on his head, and his bulging eyes stared fiercely at Du Xiaofu and the others. A pair of oily yellow wings flapped gently, and his appearance was like a locust. The third person looked extremely strange. He merely stood there, yet it was difficult for others to see through him. If one didn't look carefully, it would be very difficult to notice his existence. His entire person was like a ghost, unfathomable and unfathomable. The auras of these three demon generals were not any weaker than the Blood God Demon General, Ming Luo Demon General, and Desolation Demon General. Obviously, they had already walked their own Tao. Just by standing in the void, they were enough to affect the rules and order of the great Tao in this area. Crimson Flame Demon General, Fierce Locust Demon General, Duo Yu Demon General. Looking at the three demon generals, Lu Jingyun's eyes flashed as he murmured. He had some understanding of the many demon generals in the primordial era. He could determine their identities from their bodies and appearances. Leave the 6 demon generals to the 2 of us. Once the reinforcements arrive, the demon clan will not be able to stop us. Di Batian shouted. His domineering aura spread out and shook the void. His 10 fingers intertwined rapidly, forming hand seals one after another. Finally, they merged into one and turned into a terrifying swastika that attacked fiercely. Kill! Donghuang Taishian raised his saber and slashed down. Donghuang Taishuan's saber was so domineering that it seemed to be able to split the heavens and earth. It pierced through everything in its path and instantly reached the Blood God Demon General, Ming Luo Demon General, and Desolation Demon General. His attack was actually aimed at the 3 of them at the same time. Such an action made the 3 demon generals laugh coldly. Although the 3 of us have yet to recover from our injuries, we cannot be underestimated. Do you really think that you are still in the Tao Carrier realm at your peak and can fight the 3 of us head-on? The Blood God Demon General said in a chilling voice. Scarlet blood dripped from all over his body, making him look extremely terrifying. Since you want to die, we will fulfill your wish first. Ming Luo Demon General said in a deep voice as he looked at Donghuang Taishian. Kill these 2 old fellows first. We will kill the rest later. The Desolation Demon General swung his giant axe, splitting the heavens and earth as he slashed down with all his might. In an instant, a terrifying battle broke out between the three demon generals and Donghuang Taixien. Both sides unleashed their full strength and used everything they had to kill each other with their sabers. On the other side, Di Batian was also fighting with the three demon generals who had just arrived. His heaven-shaking and earth-shattering handprints slammed down ferociously as he fought with the three demon generals. Obviously, the Crimson Flame Demon General, Fierce Locust Demon General, and Duoyu Demon General had the same plan as the other three demon generals. They all wanted to kill Di Batian first. As the two strongest people in the 3,000 sectors and the 33 heavens, once they were defeated, it would be as easy as the autumn wind sweeping away fallen leaves to deal with Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, and the others. Most importantly, if the three demon generals joined forces, it would not be difficult for them to deal with Di Batian and Donghuang Taixien. It was for this reason that the demon race's plan was so straightforward and simple. The facts were exactly like this. Even though Donghuang Taixien and Di Batian were strong, they were only able to suppress the three demon generals when they joined forces. Now that they were facing the three demon generals on their own, they immediately fell into a disadvantageous position and were unable to match them. However, the two of them seemed to be fearless. They only cared about fighting with all their strength and were not anxious for their own safety at all. They just tightly restrained the six formidable demon generals. Dongli Qi Huang, Chen Yan, let's fight. At this moment, Du Xiaofu had already arrived with the heavenly palace of violet gold in hand. He stood on boundless flames while his entire body's vital energy shook and his violet robe fluttered. He pointed his sword at the two demon attendants and shouted loudly. Du Xiaofu, let's see how you can escape this time. Dongli Qi Huang and Chen Yan exchanged glances and spoke fiercely. With the addition of numerous experts from the demon race, they quickly stabilized the situation and occupied the absolute upper hand against the six demon generals. In this way, how could the two demon attendants be afraid of Du Xiaofu any longer? They howled in unison before their figures suddenly soared into the sky and charged towards Du Xiaofu. At the same time, the vital energy on Dongli Qihuang's body suddenly expanded. Boundless scarlet-red light shot out explosively and pierced through space, causing him to seem like an enormous blood-red sun that emanated dazzling blood-red light. A terrifying force shook amidst this, and it swept towards Du Xiaofu with overwhelming force. For a time, terrifying pressure surged, causing Du Xiaofu's charging figure to suddenly stop, and it was as if he'd suddenly collided into water. On the other side, Chen Yan had already moved as well. Pitch-black devilish qi flowed out from his body, and strands after strands of it seemed like a great river or like a black dragon were connected from his body. These strands of devilish qi were like tentacles that danced about madly, and they assaulted Du Xiaofu successively. Needless to say, Chen Yan and the Eastern Flame Crimson Phoenix's current strengths were absolutely terrifying. They really were at the third level of meditative oblivion, and the strength they were able to utilize was extremely powerful. It couldn't be compared to when they were at the Fiend God battle domain. Even if Du Xiaofu's strength had risen greatly now, he had no choice but to converge his full strength when facing their joint forces. Divine Lightning Cauldrons, move! Du Xiaofu didn't dare dally at all, and he directly summoned the 9 divine lightning cauldrons and struck them towards Chen Yan. The 9 cauldrons crushed through space and rumbled, causing the heavens and the earth to tremble. Everywhere they passed, everything was transformed into chaos. Along with the improvement of Du Xiaofu's strength, the 9 violet lightning cauldrons were able to exert even stronger might in his hands. As expected of treasures refined by his senior brother, Lu Xiaoyu, they were still extremely terrifying even in the hands of Du Xiaofu, who was comparable to a cultivator at the third level of meditative oblivion. The 9 cauldrons drew out numerous perfectly straight lines that dragged monstrous violet lightning behind them, and they collided with Chen Yan's tentacles over and over again. Vast rumbling pierced through the air and resounded incessantly. Myriad sword slash. At the same time, Du Xiaofu let out a long howl as he suddenly raised the broadsword in his hand and slashed down forcefully towards Dongli Qihuang. The blood-red sun that Dongli Qihuang had transformed into emanated boundless pressure, and it caused Du Xiaofu's heart to palpitate slightly. He didn't even give it any thought before he executed a terrifying sword light with the intention of destroying Chen Yan's attack. Rumble, the boundless blood-red sun that Dongli Qihuang had transformed into surged and pressed down madly while emanating monstrous might that caused the heavens and the earth to collapse, and it caused the terrifying flames in the surroundings to be swept away. Under such circumstances, the blood-red sun and Du Xiaofu's sword light instantly collided. Both of them were boundlessly terrifying. Two completely different types of energy collided and crushed with each other, causing terrifying explosions to resound. The sword light shook the world while the blood-red sun dominated the sky. Both of them madly consumed and crushed each other, causing numerous markings of the Grand Tao to shoot towards the surroundings while boundless energy shot out violently. In the end, more than half of Dongli Qihuang's attack was dispersed while Du Xiaofu's sword light was dispersed as well, and only shattered energy that covered the sky whistled ferociously as it swept towards the surroundings. At another direction, the 9 violet lightning cauldrons pressed down upon space. Everywhere they passed, everything was crushed into a state of chaos, causing numerous strange traces of chaos to appear, and it was like ink that painted the sky. Du Xiaofu controlled the movements of the 9 cauldrons tightly and blocked Chen Yan's attacks time and time again. Kill. After exchanging blows with Dongli Qihuang, Du Xiaofu stabilized himself as he retreated. His eyes emitted a cold light as he raised the broadsword in his hand and charged out once again, madly attacking with all his might. Facing 2 great demon generals at the same time, he didn't let his guard down at all and gave it his all. The power of the 4 primordial laws shook violently and intertwined with each other. Endless Grand Tao origins surged and spread throughout the heavens and earth, causing one to tremble in fear. I'd better finish off the 2 of you as soon as possible. While fighting, Du Xiaofu separated a strand of his consciousness to check the situation around him. He realized that the situation wasn't looking too good. In particular, Di Batian and Donghuang Tai Xian were being suppressed by the 3 great demon generals and were already showing signs of defeat. Chapter 29-31. Di Batian and Donghuang Tai Xian were powerful, but 2 fists were no match for 4 hands. Moreover, the other side had 6 demon generals, all of whom were powerful cultivators. Because of this, the 33 heavens and the 3,000 sectors were in a dire situation. With the arrival of the demon race's reinforcements, Du Xiaofu and the others were once again in a difficult situation. I can't let the situation go on like this. Du Xiaofu muttered to himself as he observed the situation on the field. Even though his cultivation wasn't enough to compete with the devil general, he still had to go and help a little. He thought of the method he used to deal with the blood ancestor. If he combined the strength of many meditative forgetfulness experts, he might be able to stop a demon general and reduce the pressure on Di Batian and Donghuang Tai Xian. It should be noted that Du Xiaofu's strength had improved a lot compared to before, so he could withstand more energy. Once he made use of the 8 trigrams, the power of many meditative forgetfulness experts might be able to stop a demon general who had not yet recovered from his injuries. Thinking of this, Du Xiaofu made a decision. He had to suppress Dongli Qihuang and Xin Yan as soon as possible. Only then would he have a chance to share some of the pressure on Di Batian and Donghuang Tai Xian. Du Xiaofu, let's see how you're going to escape today. Dongli Qihuang and Chen Yan also saw the situation, and they involuntarily revealed a cold smile as they spoke in such a manner. In fact, they were greatly shocked. Du Xiaofu's strength had once again refreshed their understanding of him. This guy's cultivation had improved by leaps and bounds. It was unimaginable. No matter if it was Dongli Crimson Phoenix or Chen Yan, they were clearly aware in their hearts that if they fought Du Xiaofu in a one-on-one battle, then they would probably still be easily crushed. However, this was not important. Once either Di Batian or Donghuang Taixien was defeated, one or two demon generals would be free to kill Du Xiaofu immediately. This guy would not be able to cause any trouble. However, Du Xiaofu did not seem to have any intention of responding to the two demon attendants' sarcastic words. He just rolled his eyes at them and said softly, "Losers." These words caused Eastern Flame Crimson Phoenix and Chen Yan to choke, and their faces flushed red and turned purple before turning into the color of pig liver. Thousands of years ago, they were unattainable existences in front of Du Xiaofu. Even if the two demon attendant strengths had advanced by leaps and bounds because they'd awakened their ancient memories, they were still losers when compared to Du Xiaofu, and they were like complete and utter pieces of trash. As existences that were renowned for their ferocity during the ancient times and caused countless living beings in the 33 heavens to tremble, how could the two demon attendants endure such humiliation? They were even more determined in their hearts that they would definitely kill Du Xiaofu today. At the same time, they would eliminate an enormous calamity for the devil race and eliminate the hatred in their hearts. Du Xiaofu, you must die today. Shen Yan shouted explosively and shouted loudly when facing Du Xiaofu's ridicule. The energy in his entire body shot out madly while monstrous devilish qi surged through space and surged madly towards the 9 divine lightning cauldrons in the surroundings. Clang! 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 The 9 cauldrons suffered an enormous impact and emanated a vast sound. The heavens and the earth shook as they were blasted flying over and over again. On the other hand, Shen Yan relied on this opening to approach Du Xiaofu step by step with the intention of dealing a terrifying blow to Du Xiaofu. On the other side, Dongli Qihuang had a similar tacit understanding. His entire body was enveloped in a terrifying blood-red radiance as he attacked Du Xiaofu over and over again. Terrifying and ferocious attacks whistled through the sky. Azure Spirit Armor. When he saw the two of them attacking with all their strength, Du Xiaofu didn't dally and immediately shouted loudly. A resounding dragon roar emanated from his throat, and it caused the souls of others to tremble and sway. Awu! Along with the roar of a dragon, an immeasurable amount of green dragon materialized. It curled up in the air and twisted its body crazily. It swept across and destroyed everything in its path. The dragon's tail rose into the sky and fiercely whipped onto the blood-red radiance outside Dongli Qihuang's body. Rumble! An enormous bang resounded through the heavens and the earth, causing the hellfire in the surroundings to emit terrifying howls as it swept back like tidewater and was repelled extremely far away. Qi La, under Du Xiaofu's dragon tail, pieces of dragon scales flew off as his flesh and blood exploded, revealing ghastly bone stubble. On the other hand, the Eastern Flame Crimson Phoenix's figure was blasted flying, and it drew out a perfectly straight line as it smashed fiercely into the blazing flames of hell before being swallowed up. Such an attack caused Du Xiaofu to suffer a certain degree of injury, but under the effect of the indestructible Xian body, the flesh and blood on the dragon's tail that had exploded squirmed little by little and was constantly recovering. He glanced in the direction where Dongli Qihuang had disappeared. Seeing that the other party didn't appear in time, he couldn't help but turn his gaze to Shen Yan. Du Xiaofu knew that Dongli Qihuang should have suffered some injuries under the impact just now, but it would definitely not affect his continued battle. Kill! Du Xiaofu no longer paid attention to Dongli Qihuang's movements and charged toward Shen Yan. His dragon body suddenly moved, and he disappeared from where he was, launching another round of crazy sweeps. However, it was clear that Shen Yan didn't intend to fight Du Xiaofu head-on. The demonic aura around him surged like waves as he constantly dodged Du Xiaofu's attacks. Boom, 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 under Du Xiaofu's control, the 9 violet lightning profound cauldrons crushed the boundless space while dragging numerous strands of violet gold divine lightning as they attacked madly. They ceaselessly assaulted Chen Yan from 9 directions at the same time and obstructed his path of retreat. His goal was very simple, to force Shen Yan into a corner and force him to fight. Du Xiaofu didn't want to drag this on at all. Only by getting rid of these two great demon attendants early could he have a chance to help Di Batian and Donghuang Taixien. Kill! Shen Yan snorted in the face of Du Xiaofu's relentless attacks. His expression didn't change, and the demonic aura around him surged again, condensing into a huge pitch-black spear. The spear was cold and eerie, and an incomparable murderous aura flowed on it, blooming with the aura of death. A strong aura of death emanated from the spear, containing an incomparably terrifying power that made one's heart tremble. If an immortal realm expert faced such a spear, he would probably be killed on the spot and die an unnatural death just from the terrifying aura it carried. Such a terrifying weapon attacked as soon as it appeared, instantly breaking through layers of void and arriving in front of Du Xiaofu in an instant. There's a huge gap between the cultivation of the third stage of meditative oblivion. Dongli Qi Huang is hiding. You dare to fight me head-on by yourself? These words came out of Du Xiaofu's mouth. His dragon eyes shone with dazzling light. At the same time, a terrifying shout resounded from his mouth, and then the four primordial laws moved simultaneously and started circulating madly. The surrounding space was directly filled up by the boundless quintessence energy of the laws, and accompanying it was an extremely terrifying quintessence of the grand Tao that surged through the sky. OM. 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 After that, an overbearing and terrifying pressure descended, and it instantly pressed down upon the soul like a mountain. The energy of the four primordial laws ceaselessly fused together under Du Xiaofu's control, and it formed a terrifying divine disk that emanated a heavy aura. It instantly left Du Xiaofu's body and blasted ferociously toward Shen Yan's spear. Rumble. The divine disk was extremely terrifying. It was like the heaviest thing in the world, and it was like a firm barrier that directly blocked Shen Yan's attack. Squeak. Squeak. A wave of sounds that caused one's scalp to go numb resounded. As the divine disk ceaselessly moved forward, the spear collapsed inch by inch and transformed into monstrous devilish qi, and then it was crushed into nothingness by the energy emanated by the divine disk. As he gazed at Du Xiaofu's ferocious attack, Shen Yan's pupils couldn't help but constrict fiercely. Chen Qi's strength was too formidable, and Chen Qi's spear was crushed with a single strike. However, the divine disk that emanated bright light hadn't been completely exhausted, and it still emanated an extremely terrifying force that continued to crush down towards him. Humph! Shen Yan grunted coldly as he gazed at the scene before him, and then his arms danced in a crisscross pattern. A large amount of devilish qi was combined and transformed by him, and it finally transformed into a shield of light that stood before him to greet the divine disk's attack. Rumble. An enormous bang that shook the heavens and the earth resounded. The remaining might of Du Xiaofu's divine disk was still terrifying, and it collided fiercely with the pitch-black shield of light before Shen Yan. Two completely different forces crushed and destroyed each other, and they fluttered about while numerous strands of the laws and grand Tao markings interweaved with each other and swallowed everything. The area before Shen Yan had completely transformed into an expanse of chaos, and it was an extremely terrifying scene. Huff! After he resisted Du Xiaofu's attack, Shen Yan didn't suffer much of a shock, and Du Xiaofu's attack didn't descend onto him. This caused him to feel slightly fortunate in his heart, and it caused him to laugh coldly as well. Du Xiaofu wasn't an ancient expert in the end. No matter how swift his cultivation was, it required a long process. No matter how swift Du Xiaofu's growth was, it was impossible for Du Xiaofu to crush Shen Yan. However, this thought had just arisen in Shen Yan's mind when his brows suddenly knit together tightly, and he felt as if his scalp was about to split open. You want to retreat? It won't be so easy. Du Xiaofu had suddenly arrived by Shen Yan's side. A strand of sword light lit up around the terrifying azure dragon, and then the markings of the grand Tao shot towards the surroundings and caused space to tremble. Such a strand of sword light caused Shen Yan's scalp to go numb. It wasn't that he hadn't witnessed Du Xiaofu's ability, and it could be said that he and Dongli Qi Huang were the earliest people to witness Du Xiaofu's ability. Yes, such a strand of sword light was precisely the terrifying ability Du Xiaofu had comprehended himself, quintessence skysplitter. No matter if it was the quintessence of the laws or the quintessence of the Grand Tao, both of them were capable of condensing into such a terrifying sword strike. On the other hand, Du Xiaofu had grasped four great primeval laws at the same time. Now that he was able to stimulate the quintessence of the Grand Tao, the might of this sword strike formed from it was countless times stronger than before. As he watched this sword strike assault him, Shen Yan's scalp couldn't help but go numb. He didn't even hesitate to gather a large amount of devilish qi once more, and he continued to form a terrifying shield of light that stood before him with the intention of blocking this strike. Shen Yan was very clearly aware in his heart that if he was struck by Du Xiaofu's attack, then he would probably be heavily injured even if he survived. A terrifying howl resounded from Shen Yan's mouth. He'd exerted all his strength to defend himself, and he merely hoped to block off such a terrifying attack from Du Xiaofu. Devilish qi shot out from Shen Yan's body, and it swiftly formed a tight defense. The shield of light was pitch black and suffused with a glow that seemed material, and it contained the quintessence of the laws and the quintessence of the Grand Tao. On the other hand, right when he'd finished preparing all of this, Du Xiaofu's quintessence skysplitter had arrived. The sword light was brilliant like a collapsing pillar of the heavens, and it pierced through everything in its path. Everything it encountered was transformed into chaos. At the instant it arrived before Shen Yan, the terrifying defensive shield of light could be seen disintegrating swiftly while energy shot out. Du Xiaofu's quintessence skysplitter was like a hot knife through butter, and it instantly broke through layer after layer of Shen Yan's defenses. All the devilish qi was slashed apart, and it was truly like it was made of mud and couldn't withstand a single blow. Woo! During this entire process, Shen Yan let out numerous muffled groans. Obviously, he'd suffered an extremely great shock. As he retreated, he aroused the energy within his body and set up layer after layer of defenses once more, and he ceaselessly exhausted the energy of Du Xiaofu's sword light. However, this sword strike of Du Xiaofu's was really too terrifying, and it was easier said than done to completely negate it. Dense beads of sweat appeared on Shen Yan's forehead and ceaselessly dripped down. How could he not be on guard when facing the threat of death? Boundless devilish energy surged out from within his body like a floodgate being opened. At this moment, Shen Yan was simply risking his life to defend. However, all his efforts were in vain. The sword light eroded layer after layer of defenses and still struck his body in the end. Swish! Shen Yan's body was suddenly slashed apart, and it split into two from the middle. Devilish blood sprayed through the air, and it emanated pitch-black flames that incinerated space. Kill! Du Xiaofu shouted coldly while his dragon eyes emanated a terrifying glow. Suddenly, the violet gold heavenly tower had appeared in one of his dragon claws, and it emanated a terrifying force. As he looked at Shen Yan's situation, Du Xiaofu knew in his heart that it was impossible for Shen Yan to die so easily. If he wanted to annihilate Shen Yan, then he would at least have to make another strike. However, right when Du Xiaofu was about to raise his sword and fight again, he suddenly turned his head while his pupils constricted rapidly. Roar! Amidst waves of dragon roars, the enormous azure dragon's body rolled through space. At the same time, a sword light slashed out. Boom! Another enormous bang resounded. Amidst the dazzling sword light, it blocked off a baleful blood saber that assaulted him, and they slashed each other apart. After that, he saw Dongli Qihuang's figure charge out from space, and his gaze was extremely piercingly cold as he charged towards Du Xiaofu once more. I was on guard against you since a long time ago. When he saw Dongli Qihuang appear, Du Xiaofu grunted coldly and spoke like this. Since Dongli Qihuang disappeared and didn't appear for a long time, Du Xiaofu had already guessed his intentions. And it was indeed so. When he attacked Shen Yan with his sword, Shen Yan had already prepared a terrifying attack with the intention of launching a sneak attack. However, how could Du Xiaofu let him succeed so easily? When Dongli Qihuang attacked, he'd already sensed Shen Yan's movements and instantly took measures to intercept him. Du Xiaofu, I'll cut you into pieces. Dongli Qihuang's gaze was extremely deep and suffused with extreme coldness. Never had he imagined that Du Xiaofu would actually be so terrifying. He'd been on guard against Du Xiaofu since a long time ago, and Du Xiaofu had successfully blocked his attack. Such a situation caused Dongli Qihuang to be extremely vexed. Not only did his attack fail, Shen Yan even suffered an enormous injury because of it, so why isn't Dongli Qihuang in a hurry to flare up? You don't have the ability to do that. Du Xiaofu grunted coldly, and then he instantly struck out with his dragon claw. It tore the heavens and the earth apart, and it ferociously collided with Dongli Qihuang's palm strike. The East mythical Scarlet Phoenix rapidly retreated, and Du Xiaofu was also continuously retreating in the void. PFFF, however, in terms of strength, Du Xiaofu was obviously stronger than Dongli Qihuang, and he struck Dongli Qihuang to the point blood sprayed from his mouth. How are you? Dongli Qihuang descended to Shen Yan's side, and then he glanced at Shen Yan and asked. At this moment, Shen Yan's condition was extremely bad. The two halves of his body that were slashed apart were slowly closing up, yet blood was still flowing from the wound. Moreover, his entire body had a completely straight line from top to bottom, and it hadn't truly healed. Ah! Miserable howls frequently resounded from Shen Yan's mouth, and it was accompanied by enormous pain that assaulted his entire body. Du Xiaofu's quintessence sky-split wasn't an ordinary attack, and it contained a peerlessly vast quintessence of the laws and grand Tao. In Shen Yan's opinion, he controlled the primordial laws of matter and soul, so the energy within them could be easily eliminated. However, the spatial laws and temporal laws were the true source of harm to him. As an existence at the void Tao, the strength Du Xiaofu possessed was naturally not something an ordinary person could go against. However, Shen Yan wasn't an ordinary person as well. It was absolutely not easy for an expert at the third level of meditative oblivion to kill him. Moreover, so long as he was given sufficient time, it wouldn't be difficult for him to recover to his peak state. I told you, both of you were just defeated by me. Since I was able to let both of you off and spare your lives in the past, I naturally have the ability to take it back. As he gazed at Dongli Qihuang and Shen Yan, Du Xiaofu spoke these words. He'd once had the opportunity to thoroughly kill these two demon attendants. The clearest memory he had of it was on his way back to the desolate country from Divine Martial World's ancient desolation continent. However, at the critical moment, Jiangchen had suddenly appeared to plead for leniency. At the time, Du Xiaofu had spared Dongli Qihuang and Shen Yan precisely because of his friendship with Jiangchen. However, Du Xiaofu didn't regret it because of this. Back then, he'd never imagined that things would develop to this point. At the same time, he had sufficient confidence in his own strength. Du Xiaofu even felt that Dongli Qihuang and Shen Yan were nothing more than clowns who wouldn't play a critical role in the true demon war. If it weren't for their identities as demon attendants, they wouldn't have caused such great panic in the 33 heavens at all. Chapter 29-32. When they heard Du Xiaofu's words, Dongli Qihuang and Shen Yan's faces were livid and unsightly to the extreme. Especially Shen Yan, he was enduring extreme pain, and at this moment, he hated Du Xiaofu to the bone. Unfortunately, he was too weak and was no match for him at all. I can't delay any longer. Du Xiaofu finally glanced at Di Batian and Donghuang Taishuan's situation and thought to himself. Under the suppression of the 6 great demon generals, the 2 terrifying experts were being beaten down and had already suffered heavy injuries. Obviously, as time continued to pass, the 33 heavens and the 3,000 universes would be in a very bad situation. Kill. Du Xiaofu withdrew his gaze and stared at Dongli Chihuang and Shen Yan once more. At this moment, the two demon attendants were injured, especially Shen Yan, whose strength had definitely been reduced by more than half. It was the best time to kill them. However, Du Xiaofu wasn't a stubborn person. He only wanted to make a final attack. Regardless of whether it succeeded or not, he had to withdraw and help Di Batian and Donghuang Taixien. Otherwise, it would be too late once the two experts fell into a desperate situation. Rumble, as soon as Du Xiaofu finished speaking, the azure dragon's body continued to twist. The immeasurable dragon's body was like a long mountain ridge that stretched for thousands of miles, and it pressed down on the void to the point it trembled repeatedly. The pair of dragon claws attacked from left and right, and they grabbed down at Dongli Chihuang and Shen Yan at the same time. It was like a pair of hands of the heavens that carried the power to shatter everything, and it was extremely terrifying. The two demon attendants' expressions became extremely solemn when they saw Du Xiaofu's actions. They didn't dare delay any longer and directly used their own methods to meet the attack. Terrifying energy raged wildly, stirring up boundless winds and clouds, and it swept out in all directions. The terrifying battle continued like the end of the world. The situation in other places was the same. Under the suppression of Lu Jingyun, Lu Yushao, Lu Ying, Long Ke, Long Su, and the others, the devil race could not gain too much of an advantage. For the time being, they were evenly matched, and it was hard to tell who was the stronger one. On the other side, the battle between the Blood God Demonic General, Ming Luo Demonic General, Desolation Demonic General, and Donghuang Taixien was especially intense. Every attack carried the overbearing Great Tao force that could kill everything. At this time, Donghuang Taixien had already been severely wounded and could no longer fight the three demon generals head-on. Blood God Demon General ruthlessly struck him in the chest and sent him flying backwards. He smashed through the void, leaving behind a long trail of blood that extended into the void. Senior. Sensing this scene, Du Xiaofu and the others were shocked. Although they had already expected such an outcome, it was still difficult for them to accept it when they were truly faced with such a situation. Donghuang Taixien was very strong, but after all, he had not truly stepped into the path-bearing realm. When facing three injured demon generals at the same time, he was clearly not strong enough. After a long battle, Blood God Demon General took advantage of the moment and sent him flying. Needless to say, he was definitely seriously injured. Keek. Half-step path-bearing realm, so what? If it weren't for our strength being damaged, we would also treat you like a chicken or a dog, no different from an ant. Blood God Demon General could not help but laugh coldly when he saw Donghuang Taixien being pushed back and spitting out blood. Kill this old man first, then we'll take care of the others later. Ming Luo Demonic General's eyes shot out a strong murderous aura as he glanced at the experts of the 3,000 sectors and the 33 heavens around him and said, "Today, everyone here must die. None of you can leave here alive." Desolation Demonic General's words were chilling. He took the lead and chased after Donghuang Taixien, his demon qi surging madly. It was extremely terrifying. Blood God Demon General and Ming Luo Demonic General no longer hesitated and directly attacked. The three demonic generals had made up their minds. They wanted to kill Donghuang Taixien and then deal with Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, Long Ke, and the others. As long as Donghuang Taixien died, the overall situation here would be set. No one could change the outcome. Looking at the actions of the three demonic generals, Du Xiaofu, Lu Jingyun, and the others' pupils shrank rapidly. They could naturally imagine the terrifying outcome. Didn't they say that more experts from the 3,000 sectors would come? Why is there no movement after so long? A meditative realm old man from the 33 heavens muttered. His eyes glanced at the flames above with some anticipation. Di Batian and Donghuang Taixien had said this before. They said that more experts from the 3,000 sectors would come and explore the 18 levels of hell with them. However, at such a critical juncture, there were still no reinforcements. This inevitably made people nervous. The true experts from the Lingwu world, Lu family, Flying Spirit sect, and other forces have yet to arrive. If all of them arrive, the situation will be reversed immediately. An expert from the 3000 Great World said. He understood the situation of the 3000 sectors better and knew that there were many terrifying existences in the Lingwu world. They were all extremely powerful. The strength of those experts could not be compared to Di Batian and Donghuang Taixien, but they were definitely not much weaker than experts like Lu Jingyun. Most importantly, the huge number of experts could be a great hindrance to the demonic generals even if they were to forcefully push forward. However, the situation was urgent. If they did not appear now, everything would be too late. Kill. The three demonic generals did not have the same thoughts as the others. They only charged forward without caring about anything. They wanted to stop Donghuang Taixien and kill him completely. The three of them were full of imposing aura. Demonic aura surged and was extremely terrifying. Even though they were far away, Donghuang Taixuan's body was already locked onto by the biting cold murderous aura. That domineering and majestic figure could not move for a moment. Humph! Seeing this, Du Xiaofu suddenly snorted coldly. His dragon body soared into the sky and swept fiercely, causing Dongli Qihuang and Xinyan to retreat. Then, the infinite dragon body flashed in the void and rushed to the other side of the battlefield, joining Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Long Ke, Long Su, and the others. Quickly help me stop the three demonic generals. Du Xiaofu shouted loudly. At the same time, brilliance spread out from his body and instantly formed a huge 8 trigrams diagram, occupying the void. Let's go. Lu Jingyun and the others did not need to think too much about it. They understood Du Xiaofu's plan. In an instant, all of them left their opponents and rushed into Du Xiaofu's 8 trigrams diagram, occupying 8 directions. Then, a powerful force spread out and followed the pattern of the 8 trigrams diagram. It surged and whistled, and all of it entered Du Xiaofu's body. Roar! Du Xiaofu, who was injected with endless power, let out an earth-shaking dragon roar, causing the millions of demonic clan experts in the distance to feel their souls tremble and almost collapse. The huge 8 trigrams diagram released a monstrous radiance, setting off his entire body. He was like a god, like a true dragon descending to the world, dominating the world. Origin sky-slaying sword, kill. Du Xiaofu did not even think before he used his strongest move at the first moment. A terrifying sword light rose into the sky. It was so terrifying that it seemed to be able to split the sky and the earth. It directly attacked the 3 demonic generals from behind. Not only that, the 9 divine lightning cauldrons, which were originally used to deal with Dongli Qihuang and Xinyan, whistled through the sky at this moment, crushing layer upon layer of space, and brazenly smashed towards the 3 demonic generals. Stop him! Du Xiaofu's actions made Dongli Qihuang and Xinyan a little anxious. Di Batian and Donghuang Taixien were the strongest existences in the 33 heavens and the 3000 sectors. If either of them lost their combat strength, it would be enough to affect the final outcome. If Du Xiaofu rashly interfered, it would cause a great impact. They only wanted to see Donghuang Taixien die in the hands of the 3 demonic generals as soon as possible. How could they allow Du Xiaofu to interfere? Under the command of the 2 demon servants, many meditative devil experts of the demonic clan moved instantly. Hundreds of experts attacked together, trying to block Du Xiaofu's attack together, so that the 3 demonic generals could free up their hands to kill Donghuang Taixien. Whoosh, 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 a large amount of demonic qi surged out like raging waves and surged towards Du Xiaofu. However, the young man who had transformed into the Azure Dragon did not even look at such a scene. He continued to attack the 3 demonic generals with all his might. With the power of Lu Jingyun and the other experts, Du Xiaofu felt that he was unprecedentedly powerful and his speed was extremely fast. The attacks of the meditative Devil Realm demonic clan were nothing in his eyes. However, the terrifying sword light of the 9 thunder cauldrons could not be ignored by the 3 demonic generals. At this time, Du Xiaofu's attack was very terrifying. If they ignored it, they would definitely suffer a great loss. We will stop him. You continue to deal with the old man. You must kill him as soon as possible. The Desolation demonic general snorted and said to the Ming Luo demonic general. Then, he exchanged a look with the Blood God demonic general. Suddenly, the Blood God demonic general swung the Blood God demonic axe in his hand and blocked Du Xiaofu's origin sky-killing sword. At the same time, the Blood God demonic general also attacked instantly. Boundless and terrifying power surged and collided with the 9 purple thunder cauldrons. The remaining Ming Luo demonic generals did not care and continued to attack Donghuang Tai Xian. Young man, your skills are not bad. It's a pity that you have encountered us. No matter how fancy your skills are, they are still insignificant. The Desolation demonic general said coldly as he looked at the 8 trigrams formed by Du Xiaofu. He was moved by Du Xiaofu's skills. The combination of the power of hundreds of meditative Devil Realm experts was definitely not something that an ordinary person could perform. Most importantly, one had to master the 4 primordial laws at the same time to be compatible with the power of different attributes. It was also because of this that when the terrifying sword light slashed down, the Desolation demonic general's face was somewhat serious. He did not dare to treat it lightly. Demonic axe destroys the sky, break. The Desolation demonic general roared and slashed out with the giant axe in his hand. As he moved, waves of ferocious and ruthless aura shot out in all directions and condensed on the giant axe in his hand, causing it to instantly expand countless times. It was as if half the sky was held in his hand, and it looked even more terrifying. When the axe collided with Du Xiaofu's sword light, there was a sound of metal clashing. Then, the scene fell into a strange silence. The movements of the two seemed to be frozen in midair. But this silence didn't last for a moment. Suddenly, with a boom, all the energy exploded in an instant. The terrifying sword light and the Blood God demonic axe exploded at the same time and turned into the most terrifying energy. It was like a vast ocean with monstrous waves that surged fiercely to the surroundings. The figures of Du Xiaofu and the Desolation demonic general were drowned in an instant. It was hard to see them again. On the other side, the Blood God demonic general was much more relaxed. Faced with the attack of the 9 divine thunder cauldrons, a blood-red brilliance surged from his body, forming a huge light screen that enveloped his body. But when the 9 purple lightning cauldrons arrived, the light screen suddenly expanded and instantly became 10,000 times larger. Following that, a monstrous force shot out and hit the 9 cauldrons. Dang 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 dang, 9 terrifying explosions sounded. The 9 cauldrons were sent flying one by one, drawing a straight line in the air. The purple lightning cauldrons poured out into the void and blasted them extremely far away. Humph! The Blood God demonic general snorted coldly and glanced in the direction of Du Xiaofu and the Desolation demonic general. The two of them were swallowed up by the boundless energy and disappeared without a trace. Only clusters of origin runes danced in the air. To the Blood God demonic general, Du Xiaofu was no match for him at all. The 8 trigrams technique was indeed extraordinary. Perhaps it would be particularly impressive against a heavily injured person like the Blood Ancestor, but it was still insufficient to fight against a demon general. Moreover, this was under the circumstances where Du Xiaofu's strength had greatly increased. It's the same if I kill you first. Anyway, no one from the 33 heavens and the 3,000 sectors can escape today. The Blood God demonic general glanced at the 2 battlefields in the distance. Di Batian was fighting fiercely with the Red Flame demonic general, the Fierce Locust demonic general, and the Serene demonic general. However, he was also suppressed and had suffered considerable injuries. However, Di Batian had obviously restrained himself after seeing Donghuang Taishuan's situation. He no longer fought against the three demonic generals and only wanted to protect himself and delay the three of them. Because of this, he was at a disadvantage and was suppressed everywhere. He could only defend himself and had no strength to fight back. However, he still did not show any signs of defeat. On the other side, the Ming Luo demonic general was fighting against Donghuang Taishuan again. This time, without the suppression of the two demonic generals, Donghuang Taishuan and the Ming Luo demonic general were evenly matched. The battle was extremely fierce and actually ended in a draw. The blood god demonic general was relieved. For demonic generals like him who had been suppressed for countless years, he had lost too much strength. If he had fought against an expert like Donghuang Taishuan alone before, he would have been suppressed. However, now that Donghuang Taishuan was also seriously injured, he was on par with a demonic general. Then let's get rid of this guy first. Today, no one can save you. The blood god demonic general withdrew his gaze and suddenly rushed out. He directly rushed into the boundless energy waves formed by the attack of Du Xiaofu and the Desolation demonic general. The bloody figure quickly vanished, vanishing within the terrifying origin runes. On the other hand, the Eastern mythical Scarlet Phoenix, Chen Yan, and many other experts from the devil race suddenly became idle. I wonder if the two demon generals will be able to kill Du Xiaofu's hundreds of people quickly. Dongli Qihuang said softly as he looked at the place covered by the energy storm. They had seen the power of Du Xiaofu's method. Back then, with that method, Du Xiaofu and a group of meditative realm experts had even seriously injured Xuezhu. Because of this, Dongli Qihuang was a little uncertain. He did not know if the two demonic generals could quickly take down Du Xiaofu. He just wanted to see Du Xiaofu die as soon as possible so that he could be at ease. Just watch. The living beings of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 sectors will die without a burial place. Chen Yan sneered. After he glanced at the situation in the surroundings, he once again focused his attention on Du Xiaofu's group of three. The current situation was leaning towards the demon clan side. With the 6 powerful demonic generals, the people of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 sectors were just turtles in a jar. So long as one side had an overwhelming advantage, then the others would have no way to escape. After that, all the members of the demon clan stopped talking and looked at the battlefield with solemn expressions. However, most of their attention was on the battlefield between the blood god demon general, desolate fiend demon general, and Du Xiaofu. Amidst the terrifying energy, a cloud of mist was formed, enveloping a huge area. But at a certain moment, a bright ray of sword light shot out and tore the energy cloud into two. At the same time, a violent murderous aura mixed with a bloody and evil aura spread out. In an instant, the energy cloud was torn into pieces and scattered in all directions. The blood god demon general, desolate fiend demon general, and Du Xiaofu's bodies appeared almost at the same time. Around the azure dragon, Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Lu Ying, Long Ke, Long Su, and hundreds of other meditative forgetfulness experts stood in 8 directions. Dozens of people formed a group and each occupied a corner of the 8 trigrams diagram. They were still channeling powerful energy into Du Xiaofu's body. In the terrifying attack just now, their formation did not collapse. They still maintained their unity and continued to attack the 2 demonic generals. Boy, you can't escape death today no matter what. The desolate fiend demon general swung his giant axe and pointed at Du Xiaofu, who was twisting his dragon body, and said, "I've changed my mind. I'll send you on your way first." Of course, that includes them. As he spoke, he glanced at Lu Jingyun and the others who were scattered around the 8 trigrams diagram. As long as Du Xiaofu was defeated, those meditative forgetfulness experts would naturally be affected by the terrifying impact. A few more attacks would be enough to wipe them all out. Why waste time talking nonsense with this boy? Kill! The blood god demon general said. His bloodied appearance made people's scalps tingle. The aura on his body was extremely terrifying. Covered in blood-red light, he attacked Du Xiaofu. The two demonic generals moved at the same time and closed in on Du Xiaofu. Chapter 29:33. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Du Xiaofu glared at the Blood God demonic general and the Desolation demonic general. His expression was extremely serious. The pressure that these two demonic generals gave off was too great. Du Xiaofu had never felt so much pressure before. Compared to the time when he fought the Blood Ancestor, the power that Du Xiaofu could control now was even more terrifying and vast. However, these two demonic generals were much stronger than the Blood Ancestor. He had to fight against two of them alone. In the previous battle, he had already suffered quite a bit of shock. Although it was not obvious on the surface, there were hidden injuries inside his body. Kill! Du Xiaofu shouted. The purple-gold heavenly tower in front of him let out a terrifying buzzing sound and shook violently. It surged out a dazzling sword light that stood erect in the void. Du Xiaofu charged forward again. Facing these two demonic generals, he had no other choice. Even if he withdrew and left the 18 levels of hell, the other party would not let him and the others off easily. If he weakened his momentum, he would be chased and attacked. The result would be even worse. Rumble, in this broken seal, a terrifying battle broke out again. Terrifying sword light shot out from Du Xiaofu's location. It was as if the sky and earth were being split open. It was extremely terrifying. These sword light were all produced by Du Xiaofu with all his strength. It was his most powerful technique, the origin source sky murdering sword. At the same time, the 9 purple lightning profound cauldrons also brought along an earth-shaking rumbling sound, crushing the void. With a violent and overbearing intent, they smashed towards the two great demon generals from time to time, like giant moving mountains. You overestimate yourself. The Blood God demonic general and the Desolation demonic general sneered. They did not care about Du Xiaofu's attack at all. To the two of them, the strength Du Xiaofu displayed right now was completely unable to pose much of a threat to them. The blood-red light on the Blood God demon general's body bloomed and formed strange patterns of the great Tao. They swept up into the sky and had the power to erode everything. On the other hand, the desolate demon general swung his giant axe horizontally and vertically. Every strike that landed was as terrifying as the end of the world. Du Xiaofu's attacks were blocked by the two of them again and again. Even though the origin sky-slaying sword was extremely powerful, it still could not shake the two of them. On the contrary, Du Xiaofu was tightly suppressed by the two demon generals. The attacks of the two demon generals could take advantage of the situation and cause terrifying damage to Du Xiaofu. After dozens of rounds, the dragon's body that was constantly twisting in the void was already covered in dragon scales. Flesh and blood were all over the place, bones were all over, and blood was dripping everywhere. Du Xiaofu's azure dragon body's dragon head was also cut in half by the Blood God demon general's axe. The cut was hideous and terrifying. Kill. However, Du Xiaofu did not care about this at all. He did not spare any extra effort to care about his own injuries. He continued to fight the two demon generals with all his might. Around the 8 trigrams he had constructed, Lu Jingyun and the other meditative experts' faces were extremely pale. Their auras were much weaker than before. It was not because they had consumed too much energy, but because they had suffered an unimaginable shock from the battle between Du Xiaofu and the two demon generals. In terms of the cultivation base of these people, Du Xiaofu's current strength had already reached the pinnacle of the meditative realm. Moreover, the two devil generals were even more extraordinary. The impact of their battle was simply too great. If it were not for the protection of the 8 trigrams, these hundreds of people would have been crushed into ashes. They could not be any more dead. Keek keek. Du Xiaofu is doomed today. No one can save him. Dongli Qihuang watched the situation of the battle from afar, and he couldn't help but laugh coldly. He was extremely happy in his heart. That kid, Du Xiaofu, was utterly unable to resist the suppression of the two demon generals, and he'd suffered extremely heavy injuries in merely a few tens of rounds. On the other hand, the two demon generals had practically not suffered much of an impact. Du Xiaofu was really like an ant before the two of them. Even if he relied on the strength of a few hundred meditative experts, he was still unable to compare with a true Dao Vessel Realm expert. A Dao Vessel Realm expert was an existence that had walked out on his own Dao. They were the strongest experts amongst First Heaven Realm experts, so how could an ordinary person compare to them? It probably wouldn't be long before the two demon generals would be able to kill him with ease. If the joint forces of two demon generals are unable to kill Du Xiaofu, then they would truly be a disgrace to their reputation. So, that kid can't escape today. Chen Yan laughed ghastly as well, and he felt indescribably happy in his heart. Since the beginning, he and Dongli Qihuang had always been defeated by Du Xiaofu, and this caused them to suffer a rather heavy blow. But when he saw the two demon generals completely suppress Du Xiaofu with absolute strength today, how could Chen Yan not feel the hatred in his heart be vented? But at the same time, he felt even more bitter in his heart. If Du Xiaofu had used such a method to deal with him and the Eastern mythical Scarlet Phoenix from the beginning, the two of them would not have had any strength to fight back and would have been suppressed in an instant. So in the end, Du Xiaofu was still stronger than them, and he seemed to be an existence that they were unable to reach in their lifetimes unless that kid died. Humph. Kid, feel free to utilize any other methods you have. Otherwise, you won't have another chance. Desolate Fiend suddenly grunted coldly during the battle, and he spoke like this. He suddenly raised the enormous axe in his hand as if he was holding up a mountain, and a terrifying force converged and shook violently. Under the influence of this force, the surrounding space collapsed and disintegrated successively, turning into chaos, and the scene was incomparably terrifying. When such an axe suddenly chopped down, the entire broken seal shook, and endless flames leaped up rapidly before abruptly withdrawing as if they were blown by a gale, and they were on the verge of extinguishing. Clang! 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 On the other side, the blood god demon general sent the 9 purple lightning profound cauldrons flying one by one, and they passed through the boundless void and disappeared. Subsequently, his bloody body stepped out into the air and directly charged towards Du Xiaofu. A terrifying sea of blood flowed out from the blood god demon general's body and spread out in the void. Then, in the blink of an eye, it condensed into a blood-colored light sword that he held in his hand and suddenly stabbed towards Du Xiaofu. The sword light and the axe shadow attacked from 2 different directions at the same time. Du Xiaofu, who was in the middle, felt an unparalleled force supporting his body in an instant, as if he was shackled, and he was tightly bound to the spot, unable to move. Ah! A terrifying roar came from his mouth, and it turned into a series of dragon roars that shook the heavens and the earth. Du Xiaofu howled into the sky, trying to break free from the restraint of the 2 demon generals. He squeezed out all the energy in his body, and madly circulated it, but it was ineffective. He had exhausted himself to a terrifying extent, and his dragon body was full of holes. Whether it was the immortal Xian body or the blue spirit armor, they were about to collapse. Under the attack of the 2 demon generals, Du Xiaofu felt a sense of despair. Absolute power was too terrifying, and it made him feel extremely powerless. Hurry up and leave the 18 levels of hell. Du Xiaofu roared loudly, and actually stopped the strand of energy that he had painstakingly gathered, and then surged out in the direction of Lu Jingyun and the others. At the same time, the shaky 8 trigrams diagram was also instantly shattered by him, and turned into pieces of runes that shot out. Under the effect of this power, Lu Jingyun, Lu Yushao, Lu Ying, Long Ke, Long Su, and hundreds of meditated experts from the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds were all pushed back, and they escaped the range of the attack of the two demon generals. And Du Xiaofu himself, completely withstood the attack of the two demon generals. This sudden situation caused many people to be stunned, and for a moment, they could not wrap their heads around it. He. Du Xiaofu, this kid, wants to resist the attack of the two demon generals by himself? But soon, Dongli Qihuang saw through Du Xiaofu's intention. Obviously, the kid knew that he was no match for the two demon generals and had given up on resisting. The only result of doing so was definitely death. He has reached a dead end, and no one can save him anymore. Chen Yan chuckled as he muttered. Both of them stared at Du Xiaofu, wanting to see him die in the end. Uncle Master Du, in the distance, Lu Jingyun and the hundreds of meditated experts immediately understood what had happened after they were pushed back. They quickly steadied themselves and tried their best to suppress the roiling power in their bodies. Then, they looked at Du Xiaofu with shocked eyes. At this moment, endless bitterness surged in everyone's hearts. As the leader of the 33 heavens, Du Xiaofu had led many experts to conquer the 18 levels of hell, and he had left an indelible image in everyone's hearts. When facing the blood ancestor, it was he who gathered the power of many experts and repelled that terrifying existence. When fighting with the two demon generals, it was he who stood up. However, in the end, even with the power of millions of experts, he was still no match for the two demon generals. At the last moment, the purple-robed young man chose to face them alone. Even if he knew that he would die, he still wanted everyone to escape. This caused the many powerhouses of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 great worlds to feel pain in their hearts for no reason. Get out of my way. At the same time, in another place, Di Batian also noticed this scene. He roared and formed a series of hand seals. He wanted to force the three demon generals away. Kakik. Are you trying to save that kid? Do you really think that the three of us don't exist? The Yu-Duo demon general smiled maliciously. His body turned illusory and disappeared in an instant. He then appeared in front of Di Batian and blocked him. The Red Flame demon general and the Fierce Locust demon general also moved at the first moment, tightly entangling Di Batian so that he could not help Du Xiaofu. Anger flashed across Di Batian's face, but more than that, he felt helpless. Kid, I'll be the first to send you on your way today. Die. At this time, the Blood God Demon General's blood-red light sword and the Desolate Demon General's terrifying giant axe landed in front of Du Xiaofu at the same time. The blood-red light sword released a monstrous evil aura. The smell of blood was pungent and sharp, as if it could cut through everything in the world. The terrifying shadow of the axe was also terrifying. It gathered into a peerless chop and landed on Du Xiaofu's head. These two attacks were incomparably terrifying. Before they truly descended, there was already an unparalleled aura pouring down, causing Du Xiaofu's azure dragon body to rapidly explode and disintegrate. Pieces of flesh and blood flew out and shattered in the void. In the end, the huge dragon bones also began to crack and were crushed into powder by the monstrous power. Roar! Du Xiaofu's throat finally let out a deep dragon roar. The pair of dragon eyes stared at the Desolate Demon General and the Blood God Demon General, then exploded and turned into ashes. It wasn't that he didn't want to fight back, but in front of the Dao Attainment Realm, the current Du Xiaofu was too weak and couldn't be a match for them. Even if he used all his strength, he couldn't move at all. He could only watch as the Desolate Demon General and the Blood God Demon General's attacks landed on him. Uncle Master Du, Yuqing Divine Emperor, Du Xiaofu, at this moment, time seemed to have frozen in the surrounding area. For the experts of the 33 heavens and the 3,000 boundless worlds, all of them felt their hearts sink. Di Batian and Donghuang Taixian were tied down by the demon general and couldn't go to the rescue. As for the majority of the meditative realm experts, they were powerless to do anything. When Du Xiaofu forced all of them to retreat, it seemed that this was already the end. Everyone watched as the sword and axe of the two demon generals descended onto Du Xiaofu in the end. There was no need to think about it. This time, there would probably be no accidents. The first young man at the Void Dao to appear since the primordial times would probably be unable to survive and appear before them. He. This scene caused Dongli Chihuang and Qin Yan to let out a string of cold laughter. They wantonly displayed the happiness in their hearts and roared with laughter. Once Du Xiaofu died, the obsession in their hearts would disappear along with him. Moreover, the enormous divine artifact of the devil race would be eliminated as well. Such an outcome was simply the best of both worlds. So long as Du Xiaofu was unable to survive, then who else in this world could pose a lethal threat to the Lord Devil Ancestor? So, Dongli Chihuang and Qin Yan just watched silently and watched how Du Xiaofu died under the attacks of the two demon generals. Kid, go to hell. The desolate fiend devil general shouted loudly as he controlled the enormous axe to chop down towards Du Xiaofu's head. A terrifying baleful aura erupted. Not only did it crush Du Xiaofu's azure dragon body, it even caused unimaginable destruction to his soul core. In just a short moment, that kid would die a graveless death. Even if the great god Pangu was revived, he would be powerless to reverse the situation and would be unable to save him. But suddenly, right when the desolate fiend devil general felt the blade of his enormous axe had already touched Du Xiaofu's remaining head, a strand of forceful energy suddenly surged out and collided fiercely with his attack. This attack was extremely sudden, and it caused the desolate fiend devil general to be unable to react in time before it collided ferociously with his enormous axe. Clang! Along with an enormous bang, an enormous broadsword appeared, and it suddenly flicked upwards and emanated peerlessly domineering force that blocked the desolate fiend devil general's enormous axe. On the other side, the blood god demon general was also obstructed at almost the same time. A dark green brilliance flashed wildly, accompanied by a monstrous surge of energy. His blood-red sword radiance seemed to have encountered an extremely strong corrosive substance, and more than half of its power was instantly eroded away. Then, the dark green light followed the long sword in the blood god demon general's hand and turned into dark green thin snakes that slithered rapidly up and into the blood god demon general's palm. Hiss hiss hiss, a strange sound rang out, and the blood god demon general's palm, which was dripping with blood after being attacked by the dark green energy, suddenly began to emit black smoke, and black holes began to appear. Without hesitation, he instantly let go of the long sword in his hand and abruptly retreated a few steps. The energy in his body circulated wildly several times, driving the billowing demonic chi, before finally incinerating the dark green energy that had crept into his palm. You are just a few demon generals who have yet to recover from your injuries. Do you really think you can do whatever you want in this world? At this moment, the slender figure of a man stepped out from Du Xiaofu's dragon head. This man was dressed in grey, and with a heavy sword in his hand, he fiercely repelled the desolate demon general's giant axe. Then, with a wave of his arm, rays of light scattered and landed on Du Xiaofu's broken dragon body behind him. And on the opposite side, in front of the blood god demon general, an extremely beautiful woman walked out from the void and stood between the blood god demon general and Du Xiaofu. What did not match this woman's appearance was that between her palms and fingers, there were wisps of dark green chi, like a venomous snake that was flicking its tongue. There was a bone-chilling aura that was emitted, causing one to feel a chill all over their body with just one glance. Such a man and woman had suddenly appeared and saved Du Xiaofu at the crucial moment. Seeing their appearance, Lu Jingyun, Lu Yuxiao, Lu Ying, Lu Cheng, Lu Ji, Long Kei, Long Su and the rest were all wild with joy. Uncle Yanghua, Aunt Xintong, Lu Xiaoyou's and Long Xian's children cried out in surprise. They couldn't be more familiar with these two people who had suddenly appeared. As for the rest of the people from the 3,000 boundless worlds, boundless joy surged out from them at this moment. Their originally ashen expressions were all swept away at this moment. Who are you? Looking at the two people, the desolate fiend demon general's expression also changed, and he unconsciously opened his mouth to ask. Heavy Sword Edgeless, Yang Guo. Poison Spirit Witch, Lu Xintong. The man and woman who had just appeared spoke one after another, their tone light. It's Heavy Sword Edgeless, Yang Guo, and Poison Spirit Witch, Lu Xintong. These two people are the elder brother and sister of the master of the 3,000 boundless worlds, Lu Xiaoyu. Both of them are extremely terrifying masters. These are the top experts of the 3,000 boundless worlds. I didn't expect them to come as well. This is great. With their appearance this time, I'm sure even more experts from the 3,000 boundless worlds will come as well. We have more confidence in dealing with the demon race now. The experts from the 3,000 boundless worlds couldn't help but begin to discuss. Everyone's words were incomparably excited. Obviously, they all knew about the names of the Heavy Sword Edgeless, Yang Guo, and Poison Spirit Witch, Lu Xintong. Just as they had said, Yang Guo was the elder brother of the master of the 3,000 boundless worlds, Lu Xiaoyu, and Lu Xintong was Lu Xiaoyu's sister. The strength of these two people was absolutely terrifying. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.